Hey guys, how are you all? Welcome to Tsunami Sage. So we are back with a brand new movie on what if Naruto saved Raven on her dark birthday movie, but before we start, be sure to subscribe to our channel and like this video. Now let's begin the story. Raven was not having a good birthday. Instead of being able to enjoy the party that her friends had set up, a gesture that she secretly enjoyed but would never tell them, she was being chased by Robin's apparently undead arch-foe. And that wasn't even the worst part. He hadn't been revived by just anyone, oh no. Trigon, her quite literally demon of a father, had brought him back to mark her as his portal. After Slade had separated her from Robin at the church, she'd been desperately trying to escape him. Flying out from between the buildings she'd flown through to escape his arms of fire, she yells her mantra, Azeroth Metrian Zinthos. Using most of her remaining energy, she slammed the two buildings together in an attempt to stop him. Looking at the dust billowing out, she sighed in relief, only to jerk up in surprise as Slade burst from them in an explosion. She gasped as he tackled her, and barely had any time to brace herself as they crashed on top of a tower. She struggled to her feet and tried to run again, only for Slade to snag her by her cowl, ripping it off. What you have concealed you shall become. He exclaims as she fell down, revealing more runes on her now exposed back. You have no other choice. No, she charges at him, desperately channeling her remaining energy around her to hopefully drive him back. However, he effortlessly caught her hand, dispelling the claw of black energy. The message will be delivered. Slade hissed, grabbing her other arm. Your destiny shall be fulfilled. Struggling against his grip, Raven groaned in pain as the glowing red runes covered the rest of her body, ripping most of her clothes. Red energy beamed from her eyes as the sun and moon rapidly switched places while her hair grew out. Once completed, Slade released his grip, allowing her to collapse to her knees in exhaustion. She looked around, only to discover that the city had become apocalyptic ruins, surrounded by a sea lava. Off in the distance, she could see the ruins of Titan's Tower, and around the city, everyone, including her friends, had been turned to stone. No, she gasped, horrified. Yes, Slade dragged out. Look at it, drink it in, behold the world you are destined to create. Raven could only stare in disbelief as Trigons rose, releasing a deafening roar. Grabbing her head in pain, she tried to block it all out. No, I won't do it, this is just a vision. This can't be real. She flinched as she felt a metallic grip on her shoulders. This is the future, your future. It began the day you were born, and nothing can stop it. He stated in her ear. This will come to pass. I will make sure of it. You're going to destroy the world, Raven. It's written all over yo. Konoha Senpu. Slade was interrupted as a sandaled foot slammed into his face, driving him away from Raven. The new arrival steadied her with his good left arm, not noticing the small spark of black energy that passed between them at the contact. Hey, are you okay? Raven heard as she turned to face the man. She jerked back, startled by his appearance. He looked like he'd just been through a damn war zone. His pants and chainmail shirt were in tatters, his face looked like Mammoth had repeatedly jumped on it, and he was missing an arm. God, it was still leaking blood. Noticing her reaction, Naruto rushed to reassure her. Hey, it's all right. I'm not going to hurt you. After the blurs had rushed past, he'd gone to investigate, wondering just what the hell was moving when time was frozen. When Kurama had informed him that they were both using demonic energy, even if hers was suppressed, he decided to just watch. Don't get him wrong, he wasn't weary of the girl. With his negative emotion sensing, he could tell she wasn't evil. However, he barely had a fresh genin's worth of chakra and didn't think he'd be much use in a large-scale fight. His belief had seemed justified as he watched her slam two flippin' buildings together. However, when the masked man started ripping her clothes off seriously, another one-eyed masked man, he decided to intervene anyway. Using what little chakra he had left, he'd scaled the tower to find the man grabbing her from behind. Borrowing a move from Bushy Brows, he'd kicked him away. You're not going to hurt me. What about you? How are you even standing? Raven uncharacteristically shouted in disbelief, having momentarily forgotten about Slade. With everything that had happened, she found it impossible to maintain her usual control over her emotions. What in Azeroth happened to you? Hey, well, it's kind of a long story. He chucked nervously, scratching the back of his head with his hand. Can we talk about it after dealing with the zombie dude? Upon hearing the word, dude, despite everything, she had to resist the urge to facepalm. Not another beast boy, please. I can't handle two of them. She shook her head. Focus. Slade's getting back up. Yo, zombie man, I'm gonna have to ask you to leave the cute girl alone. Cute. Even as her eyebrow twitched, Raven felt a faint blush spread across her cheeks. Slade looked at him. Honestly, he was impressed by the strange young man. Despite his severe injuries, he was still standing strong with a warrior's air about him. If I wasn't serving Trigon, he would have made a great apprentice. For some reason, Naruto felt a shiver crawl down his spine. Why'd I feel like Orochimaru's lusting after me?
Focus, brat. That demonic energy coming off him isn't his. It's from a very powerful demon. His master is dangerous, especially in the state we're in.
Expecting a fight, he was surprised when the masked man jumped away, saying, "We'll meet again." Huh, I wonder what he said. Turning back to the girl, intent to ask what was going on, he paused, finally getting a good look at her face. Unbidden, a blush spread across his face. "Cammy, she's gorgeous." Focus, this is not the time to stare into her pretty eyes. Wait, I mean. Hey, looks like that perverted old man finally got to you. No, I am not a pervert. I've resisted Ero Sennin's influence for 4 years. I will not fail now. While Naruto was talking to the voice in his head, Raven was studying him just as intently, numerous questions flying through her mind. Who is he? Why did he help me? Are those whisker marks? Coming back to her senses, she asked, "Who are you?" Snapping out of his daze, the man gave her an impossibly bright smile that made her cheeks flush. "Oh, I'm Naruto Uzumaki. What's your name?" Taken aback by his cheery attitude despite his injuries, she hesitantly answered, "I'm Raven."
"Nice to meet you, Raven-chan." He reached forward for a fist bump, but with the crisis apparently over and his adrenaline gone, he fell, finally succumbing to exhaustion, hearing a surprised, "Naruto." Before the blackness overtook him. After the teen, Naruto, collapsed, her powers flared, returning time to its normal state. She just barely managed to catch him before he hit the roof. Afterwards, Robin had shown up. She'd eventually managed to convince him to bring him to the tower instead of the hospital, weary of the strange man. However, he'd warmed up to him after she told him how Naruto drop-kicked Slade in the face. After dropping him off in the medical wing of the tower and ensuring he was stable, she'd gone to her room to replace her clothes before healing him. The boy, Naruto, was a mystery. He'd somehow resisted whatever she'd done to freeze time, saved her from an undead Slade, all while horribly injured. It was that last part that had her both confused and worried. So, she hurriedly put on fresh clothes before rushing down to the medical ward. "I'm telling you, Rob, he's human. Full DNA scans, X-rays, and infrared readings come back as normal." Then how on earth did he get up there? Better yet, how was he moving after Raven froze time? "Weren't you doing the moving too, friend Robin?" Starfire asked. "Only because Raven freed me from her spell. From what she told me, he just came out of nowhere and kicked Slade in the face." "Dude, he drop-kicked Slade. Ha 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 ha, that's awesome." Behind them, the door swung open and Raven entered the room. "Friend Raven, it is glorious to see that you are unharmed. Tell me, who is this man?" "His name's Naruto," she responded in her usual deadpan. Walking up to him, a shimmering blue aura enveloped her hands. "Ooh, are you doing your glowy hands thingy to heal him?" Beast Boy asked. Yes, while this was going on, Robin was talking quietly to Cyborg. "Are you sure he's safe?" "Well, he's human, I can tell you that much, but safe?" "No clue. Why are you so worked up about him? I mean, he saved Raven. We don't know anything about him, and he just shows up out of the blue right when Slade comes back from the dead. Weird fire magic. Doesn't it seem a little suspicious to you?" Back with Raven, she was examining his body. How does he have so many scars? One in particular caught her attention. Right over his heart was a fist-sized scar. She could tell it had pierced him deeply. How did he survive that? Putting it out of her mind for the moment, she sat on the edge of the bed and placed her hands on his chest, then gasped at the flood of emotions. So much pain and grief, it almost made her cry. But even more powerful, far surpassing his pain, was hope and love. It wasn't a directed love, like one might have for their spouse, but a general sense of love directed towards everything around him that seemed to shine from his very soul. Just feeling it comforted her in a way she hadn't felt since she was a child in her mother's arms back on Aerth. Despite the comfort, it was just so strong that she jerked back in surprise. "Raven, are you all right?" Robin asked, figuring that the boy had done something to her. Yeah, I'm fine." After a moment to calm herself, she said, "He just feels everything so strongly, it surprised me." "What do you mean? Is he a threat?" "No, She was cut off by a groan from the bed. Quickly turning back to him, she watched in astonishment as his eyes fluttered open. Having been woken up by a burst of energy that seemed to jump-start his chakra network, Naruto looked around, confused, until he saw her familiar face. "Oi, Raven-chan, where are we?" "We're in the med bay of Titan's tower. How are you awake?"
With your injuries you should have been unconscious for a few days at least.
I've always been a fast healer. So, what's Titan's Tower?
You don't know what Titan's Tower is? No, I just got here, I don't really know much about this place. Now, this piqued her curiosity. Most people at least knew who the Teen Titans were, even if they didn't live in Jump City.
So where are you from? Oh, I'm from another dimension. Naruto replied casually.
Idiot. What? We can trust her. You literally just met her, he deadpanned. So, she's nice. You just think she's hot, yeah wait no. Naruto. Wah. Looking up, he was met with an annoyed Raven. Finally, Raven snapped in agitation. I've been trying to get to her attention for over a minute. Her expression shifted to one of concern. Are you okay?
Oh, yeah sorry, I was just arguing with Kurama. Who's Kurama?
Idiot. The fox repeated. Oh, heh. While he trusted her, he hadn't been planning on telling her about Kurama. Then again, she had demonic energy of her own, so she probably wouldn't react too badly. Kurama's the fox demon sealed in my gut. He replied casually so as to make it seem like it wasn't a big deal. Judging from how she recoiled slightly, he hadn't been too successful. But don't worry, he added hastily, he's cool.
He's cool, Raven replied skeptically. Yeah, the furball used to threaten to eat me a lot, but we're friends now. He said with an eye smile reminiscent of Kakashi.
Furball. I'll show you furball, Kurama cried indignantly. I was just trying to make you seem less threatening, Naruto reasoned. She looked at him with a sort of cautious hope. So, you don't think that they're all evil? Of course not. They're like people, they're not inherently good or evil. Morio and the Jubi were bastards, but demons like you and the Biju are pretty nice. Raven froze at that. What do you mean, like me? How did he know? Why isn't he afraid of me? Naruto tilted his head, looking confused. You're not a demon? I mean, you have demonic energy. Are you a container then? Raven couldn't help but relax slightly at his nonchalant question. He was asking that like he was just talking about the weather. No, I'm not. Coming to a decision, she continued. I'm a Hanyu. She mentally braced for rejection, for him to fear her like the monks of Aerth did. She really shouldn't have bothered. Really? How does that work? She smiled, happy that he didn't seem to care, but also confused at the question. What do you mean? I mean, how'd your parents, you know, he trailed off awkwardly.
Raven blushed an atomic red, made all the more obvious by her pale complexion. Idiot, why are you asking that? Recognizing her female fury, something ingrained in him from Sakura and Ba-chan, Naruto rushed to defend himself. I mean, Kurama doesn't have a, well, penis, so, I mean. As steam started pouring from Raven's ears, Kurama decided that now would be a good time to interject. That's because I'm a girl, brat. What? So startled by this revelation, Naruto began yelling out loud. Raven stumbled back and fell from the bed. Off to the side, Starfire jerked in surprise, but maintained her grip on the other Titans, whom she was restraining for some reason. You're a girl, how? I mean you sound like a guy. Instantly realizing what he said, and fearing a Sakura-like reaction, he quickly backpedaled. Wait, I didn't mean it like that. You have a lovely voice. And
Bhuahahahaha, Kurama bellowed, unable to hold it in anymore. You actually thought I was a girl. Raven watched the odd display, growing increasingly confused as Naruto's panic turned to rage. The hell Kurama, that wasn't funny.
By the sage I can't breathe. Naruto's impending shouting match with his still howling partner was cut off by Raven. Naruto, stop yelling. She was annoyed that he was ignoring her again for his, apparently female, demon friend. For some reason, that irked her.
Oh, sorry. Naruto apologized, his attitude pulling a full 180. Kurama was being a jerk, he pouted.
Her irritation battled with her curiosity over what the fox could have done as she asked, what did she do?
He convinced me he was a girl. Just because I called him a furball. Which he is. The last comment was more aimed at said furball than Raven, but he was too busy laughing to care. As his shouting finally began to make sense, her irritation gave way to mirth at the blonde's misfortune, and she started giggling. The giggling soon turned into full-blown laughter, joining Kurama. This, more than anything, startled Starfire enough that she released her grip on the other Titans, as they all stared in shock at their teammate.
Dudes, Beast Boy whispered. Raven's laughing. I don't believe it, Cyborg muttered in disbelief as he began a system-wide scan of his systems. Robin just stared on in shock.
Glorious. Is this not a wonderful courtship? Starfire's exclamation snapped everyone out of their disbelief, or laughter in Raven's case, to stare at the red-haired alien. Courtship. Raven shouted, grabbing Naruto's attention. Courtship? He mumbled in confusion. Yes, Starfire confirmed, seemingly ignorant of the Raven's shock. Oh, this is a most wondrous occasion. We must prepare a Tamaranian feast to celebrate. As her teammates paled in horror, Raven sputtered, we're not courting Starfire. Starfire deflated at this. She'd been so sure they were involved.
She'd never seen her friend so animated before, and her powers weren't even flaring up. She knew that her friend couldn't control them when excited, so when this mystery boy had shown up and seemingly allowed her to express herself without fear, she'd been over the moon. So, she'd grabbed her friends and covered their mouths so as to keep them from ruining any moment they might have. But apparently, they weren't courting. A smile formed. They weren't courting, yet.
Naruto, was it? Now that he was free from Starfire's clutches, not that he minded being there in the first place, Robin decided that it was time for him to get answers. First, though, do you mind speaking English? Honestly, why the two of them were conversing in different languages was beyond him. Raven-chan, what's he saying? Honestly, was Raven the only one that could talk normally?
She looked between them, confused. What are you two talking about? Now that the others were around, she found it easier to slip into her usual deadpan voice. She idly wondered why it was so difficult before.
Robin looked at her oddly. I need to question him, and he obviously understands English since he was talking to you.
While they were talking, Naruto took the time to finally observe the other people in the room. First there was a little green dude with fangs. Thanks to his sage training, he could feel natural energy flowing through him.
He's not a sage, I can tell that much. Hell, Raven's the only one with working chakra pathways.
It's like he's a part of nature. Then there was a man that looked like he was from Kumo. Or he would, except he was covered in metal. He kind of reminded him of Sasori. Or maybe Nagato's Asura path. Then there was the girl in spandex. She looked eerily similar to his mom. He just hoped she didn't have her temper shudder. Finally, there was the masked boy. Honestly, with the mask, gravity-defying hair, and air of command, he was half convinced that he was Kakashi's interdimensional lovechild. Odd, Naruto thought, why are they talking in two different languages? Hey, Raven-chan, can you tell him to speak in elemental? He obviously knows it.
Now, unlike a certain blonde in the room, Raven was a pretty quick thinker, and was able to figure out what was happening. She pinched the bridge of her nose in frustration. Naruto, you are hearing me in your language, correct? He nodded, confused as to why she asked that. Robin, when I'm talking to him, am I speaking English, or am I speaking his language? She asked, even though she was pretty sure, she still wanted confirmation. English. He replied, and he could guess where she was going with this. Are you saying that?
Yes, Naruto and I hear each other in our native tongues, while to everyone else we are speaking different languages. For some reason, she felt the urge to add something to her statement. Not seeing any harm, she did so. How troublesome. Naruto snickered at how much she sounded like Inara. She'd probably get along well with Shikamaru. He stopped snickering. For some reason the thought bothered him. Oi Kurama, if Raven-chan's not speaking elemental, how do I know what she's saying?
Do you know why? Robin asked. She shook her head. Does he? He asked, indicating Naruto. I doubt it. Turning back, she asked, Hey, Naruto. He didn't respond. Judging by the glassy look in his eyes, she figured he was talking to Kurama about it. After his eyes regained clarity, she asked, So, what did Kurama say? Kurama. The other titans wondered. He wondered how she knew he was talking to the Biju? Oh yeah. Apparently whatever Fuinjutsu marks zombie teme put your energy in a state of, Kurama? He asked, having forgotten the word he used. Flux. Yeah, flux, and apparently a little bit of it entered my chakra network, creating a kind of mental bond. Whereas before she was just annoyed, now Raven felt a touch of fear. Her mind was dangerous. For anyone. Naruto, how strong is this bond? If you're worried about me hearing your thoughts, don't worry. Kurama said it's barely strong enough to overcome the language barrier as it is. She let out a sigh of relief at that. What bond? She heard Robin ask. And who's Kurama? Raven looked back at the other titans. Beast Boy and Cyborg looked confused. Robin looked concerned. And Starfire seemed strangely happy, even for her. Whatever Slade did to me made my powers temporarily unstable, and when Naruto caught me, some of my energy merged with his, creating a weak mental bond that lets us understand each other. As for Kurama, she trailed off, looking at Naruto. Being a half-demon, she knew how hard it was to reveal something like that to others. Honestly, she was surprised that he'd told her so readily. Naruto, seeing her unasked question, merely smiled, and shrugged in permission. Despite said permission, Raven didn't really feel like convincing her team that a demon wasn't a threat, so she compromised. He's a fox spirit sealed inside Naruto. Don't ask. She added, cutting off Robin's pending question. A bit miffed that she'd cut him off from asking about the spirit, he turned to Cyborg. Well, what language is he speaking? It sounds like Japanese.
Cyborg, who had his arm display showing, replied, yeah, it has a similar structure, but the words are completely different. The only thing the computer understands are the honorifics.
Honor what's its? Beast Boy asked. Honorifics. They're kind of like Mr. or Mrs. that you add onto a name, but there are a lot more of them. When he was talking about the why he could talk to Raven, he mentioned Teme, which means bastard. I'm pretty sure he was talking about Slade there. What about Chan? Raven asked. She was curious. He'd added it to her name several times.
Cyborg, though, looked worried. He wasn't sure how she'd react, and he was worried about the kid. Yeah, don't wanna, no.
Cyborg. She warned. On the inside though, she was worried. Was it an insult of some kind? She thought he liked her, he seemed nice enough to her, but why wouldn't Cyborg want to tell her? Yeah, really don't, he complained, trying to save Naruto from her wrath. After all, most guys that hit on her ended up in a brick wall. Unfortunately, his efforts were in vain, as black energy surrounded him and dragged him by the arm to where she could read the display there.
Chan, a term of endearment meaning cute, often used for close female friends or lovers. As Raven read aloud, she felt her face heating up. She released Cyborg, allowing him and the other Titans to back away from the soon-to-be more injured blonde while praying for his swift recovery. Addressing Naruto, still red in the face, she asked, is that what Chan means? The Titans were shaking their heads at him from behind her back, begging him to deny it, for his sake. Oblivious to their warning, he nodded, smiling. Yeah, you're really pretty, and you're taking care of me, which makes us friends. So I call you Chan. His smile fell after a moment. Unless you don't want me to, of course, he said, frowning. Raven felt her heart skip a beat when he called her pretty, then felt it fall when he offered to stop calling her that. No, she replied, a bit hastily. It's fine. She continued, calmer. Naruto's smile returned full force as the other's jaws dropped to the ground. Shaking his head to clear it, Beast Boy shouted, dude. Who is this guy? First drop kicks Slade, then he talks to Raven in her with a mind link thingy. He's possessed by a fox ghost, and most importantly he flirted with Raven. And he's still alive.
Embarrassed and wanting to change the subject, Raven choked out, well, he's also from another dimension.
Raven groggily sat up in her bed, looking at her alarm clock, 8:37. Usually, she would have woken up earlier to watch the sunrise before meditating. As it was, she figured she still had some time to meditate before getting some tea. She smiled fondly, remembering the previous night. After everyone had settled down and introduced themselves, they'd decided to allow Naruto to stay at the tower, seeing as how he had no way back to his home dimension.
When she'd accidentally mentioned that it was her birthday, Naruto had insisted on celebrating. She'd initially refused, prompting him to ask the other Titans for help convincing her. She laughed softly, remembering how he'd tried to pantomime his words as the others looked on in confusion. Eventually though, he got his point across, and together they managed to convince her celebrate. It had been surprisingly fun, even if she had to play translator.
She frowned, remembering how he'd been mostly healed by the time she left for bed. Normally, she'd be happy to see her friend. Yes, her friend healing, but all she could think about was how injured he must have been before rescuing her. With how fast he healed, he must have either been near death no less than a day before meeting up with them, or injured just minutes before. Yet, he still risked himself to help her. Going through the door leading to the roof, she paused after a few steps, having finally spotted the figure at the edge. He was sitting so perfectly still that she'd missed him at first. She recognized his posture, he was meditating. No, there was more to it than that. She could feel the flow of powerful energies centered around him, almost as if he was acting as a conduit for it. Her eyes widened in realization.
You're a sage. She breathed. Sages, contrary to popular belief, were not just wise old wanderers.
Sages were people who had become so in tune with nature that they became one with it, thus able to wield its power. Unlike the green, that poison ivy and swamp thing use, sages were not limited to the energies of plants, instead they were able to draw upon energy from every aspect of nature. As he turned to face her, she noticed that his eyes had changed. Gone were the sparkling sapphire orbs, instead, yellow toad-like eyes stared back at her, surrounded by red pigmentation. Last night, instead of sleeping, he'd gone into his Mindscape to talk with Kurama about their situation.
According to him, they were stuck in this dimension. While the toads could reverse summon him to Mount Myoboku, they could not summon him back to the elemental nations. The summoning jutsu works like a rubber band. One end is anchored in your home dimension, and the other end can be stretched to another realm.
When summoning a toad, whose anchor is at Mount Myoboku, you stretch their rubber band and anchor it to your dimension with their chakra.
When their chakra runs out, it releases the rubber band, sending them back to their realm. Hence why they don't need another summoning to go back home.
With Naruto's reserves, he could have stayed at Myoboku for months. Unfortunately, you can only stretch another's rubber band while in your anchored dimension. If you tried otherwise, you would release your own before completing the jutsu. When Ma had summoned him home to battle pain, she wasn't actually summoning him. Instead, she released his rubber band and used her location as a beacon for his arrival. Once there, he'd immediately summoned the other toads to fight with him. Seeing as how the only ones who were able to summon him were anchored at Mount Myoboku, they couldn't actually get him back to the elemental nations. However, he could send messages home through them. By giving the toads a message, they could pass it along to the slugs, who could reverse summon Tsunade and give it to her. She, in turn, could give the slugs a message to give to him through the toads. That is, assuming she'd been freed from the infinite Tsukuyomi.
He had to wait till morning to gain enough chakra to summon Pa. However, they had decided to use Sage Mode, both because they did not know how much it would take to stretch Pa rubber band to this new dimension, and also to help Kurama recover his chakra faster.
His ridiculous reserves would normally take over a year to refill. However, by boosting it with natural energy, the wait could be as short as several months, so long as they didn't use it too much. He'd been about to summon Pa when he sensed Raven walking towards the roof with his enhanced senses, and had decided to wait for her.
You know about Senjutsu? Naruto asked, surprised. Yes, though most people here just think they are wise old men.
Well, while all the other sages I met were old, only Ma, Pa, and Super Gramps were wise. The other two, well, one was senile and Ero Sennin was a pervert. He chuckled, and Raven was curious about the fondness in his voice. He'd probably yell at me for calling him that. Well, no one wants to be called a pervert, she replied offhandedly as she sat down beside him.
He didn't, but not for the reason you'd think. He laughed again, confusing Raven. When I first met him, I called him a pervert. You know what he said to me?
She shook her head. Using his best Jiraiya voice, he bellowed, I am not just a pervert. I'm a super pervert. Raven, for the second time in years, flat out laughed. To Naruto, it was a beautiful sound. Back in the tower, the other titans shivered, feeling a disturbance in the natural order of things. As her laughter died down, he continued. Despite his perverted nature, Jiraiya was a great person. He was like a father to me.
Though he spoke with only fondness, Raven noticed his use of past tense. Was? She asked. Naruto looked down, a sad smile gracing his features, but still reaching his toad-like eyes. Yeah, he died how he lived, searching for peace. He was killed by his former student, Nagato.
Raven gasped, but sensing that he wasn't finished, didn't interrupt him.
Naruto turned and looked out towards the bay. He lost someone precious to him and lost his way. He thought that pain was the only way to peace, perverting Jiraiya's teachings.
I actually learned Senjutsu so I could defeat him, and when I finally did, I had to decide whether or not to kill him. I wanted to, I really did. He took away one of my most precious people, then attacked my home, but I knew it wasn't what Jiraiya, so I let him go. He turned back to her, and she could see a tear forming in his still yellow eyes. And you know what, I'm glad I did. This shocked Raven. If it had been her, she probably would have killed him, despite being a hero. He took away his father in all but blood. Because I did, he was able to redeem himself. He gave his life to save a lot of people that he had hurt. He put his faith in me to find peace where he had failed. Naruto, she let out softly. This boy, no this man, had been through so much, and she had a feeling this wasn't even half of it, and yet he was still so happy. He hadn't become jaded or closed off like so many other heroes who had suffered had. I'm sure he'd be proud of you, she said. She knew he didn't want an apology for bringing up old memories. He could have stopped at any time, but for some reason, he'd trusted her enough to tell her this, to let her into his past. She was glad he did. Thinking back on everything that had happened since Pain's invasion, especially a certain distraction jutsu against Kagaya, Naruto chuckled. I'm sure he would, he agreed. Now, enough depressing stories, I've got to summon Pa before Sage Mode runs out. Technically, with Kurama's help, He could keep up sage mode indefinitely, but he was currently resting, and he wasn't going to wake him up for this.
Startled as he grabbed her hand and pulled her to her feet with him, she asked, "Pa, as in the sage Pa?" He nodded. "Do you want me to leave?" He shook his head. "Nah, I'm sure he'd love to meet you." He took a step back, not realizing, unlike Raven, how close they'd been. "Now, stand back a little bit."
He raised his good arm to his mouth before a thought occurred to Raven. Wait. He stopped. Yeah, if you can summon him here, does that mean he can summon you back home? For some reason, that thought didn't sit well with her.
No, it's a bit complicated, but he can't. I can summon him here, and he can summon me to his home for a short period of time, but he can't summon me back to my home. Oh, she replied, curious as to why she was happy at that answer.
He nodded and bit his thumb, not really surprising Raven seeing as how most summoning involved blood of some sort. He performed a few seals with his hand, then slammed it on the ground with a call of Kuchio's no Jutsu. Naruto released Sage Mode as the smoke cleared, revealing an old toad in a cloak.
He was about waist high with a spike of hair at the back of his head, a goatee, and the thickest eyebrows she had ever seen. Off in another dimension, two spandex-clad men shouted about a challenge to their youthful brows. He kind of reminded her of that green alien from that movie Beast Boy had forced her to watch. What was his name again? Yoga or something? It didn't really matter. She was surprised when it spoke in a weird language.
Who summoned me? He looked at them, shocked. Naruto boy, you're alive. Hey Pa, how've you be ow? Naruto rubbed the growing lump on his head while the toad stood over him, stick in hand. What was that for? He shouted in indignation. That's for not summoning me earlier. You had us worried sick. As a seeming afterthought, he whacked him again.
Ow. What was that one for? That one was from Ma. Would you have preferred to summon her so she could hit you instead? Thinking back to her rolling pin of pain, he shuddered. No, I wouldn't, he said, defeated.
Good boy. He turned to Raven. And who's this pretty lass? He asked with a smile, which soon turned to an expression of horror. This better not be why you didn't summon us earlier. You are not turning into a pervert like Jiraiya boy. Ma would kill us both. What are you talking about, Pa? He asked, before turning red as his meaning sank in. Of course not, are you crazy? I just met her. Besides, it would never get to Ma. Ba-chan and Sakura would kill first. Then they'd find a way to bring me back and do it again.
Off to the side, Raven just watched the odd spectacle. This is what the others feel like watching us talk, isn't it? Naruto paused, remembering his friend. Oi Pa, this is Raven-chan. He hopped over to her. Nice to meet you, Raven. My name is Fukasaku, but you can just call me Pa like everyone else. Naruto, knowing that she couldn't understand him, translated. He said his name's Fukasaku but that you should call him Pa. The old toad looked at him questioningly until Raven replied, It is an honor to meet you, Sage Pa. She gave a little bow, feeling a little stupid for bowing to a toad. What's she saying, Naruto boy? And why's she talking like that?
Well Pa, people here speak a different language. I can understand her, and she can understand me, but everyone else is out of the loop. As for what she said it was an honor to meet you, Sage Pa.
Finally, some respect, he exclaims, before asking, So where is here? And what happened to your arm?
You might want to sit down Pa, it's a long story. He said while sitting down and motioned for Raven to join them. He told Pa how his final clash with Sasuke propelled him between dimensions, how he landed here, and everything else that had happened, all the while translating whatever comments Pa made for Raven, and vice versa. Pa chuckled. Only you, Naruto boy. Only you. What's that supposed to mean? He shouted, forgetting to translate. You're always getting into the most ridiculous situations. I mean, when has anything gone according to plan for you? Hey, I guess you're right. He responded, before telling Raven the gist of the conversation. Now, with that over, he asked the question that had been plaguing his thoughts but been too scared to ask. Pa, he asked, more serious than Raven had ever seen him. What happened after I left? Is everyone okay? Hey, don't you worry Naruto boy, everyone's fine. Naruto let out a sigh of relief. It seems like you really got through to Sasuke. After you disappeared, he was apparently racked with guilt. He dispelled the infinite Tsukuyomi with that eye of his before turning himself in. Everyone's worried sick about you, but no one really thinks you're dead. Naruto lets out a shaky breath as the fear he's been holding onto since his arrival left him. They're okay. He let out in a breathy whisper. He'd been hoping against hope that this would be the case, but with how Sasuke had been acting, he'd feared the worst. However, he did what he did best. He shouldered that pain and moved on. However, it had still weighed heavily on his heart, and with that weight now gone, he was overwhelmed with emotion. "They're okay," he shouted this time, and leapt up, bringing Raven with him. He embraced her and spun in a circle before realizing what he was going. Setting her back down and quickly backing away, he started apologizing. Red-faced, she managed to get out, "It's fine, Naruto." While she still didn't know everything that had happened, from what she'd learned during their conversation, most of his world had been trapped in an infinite illusion of some sort. How he'd remained so cheerful was beyond her. Knowing that they were free must have been an immense relief. She figured that was why she wasn't pounding him into the ground with her powers for hugging her like that. Before anyone could say anything else, the door to the roof slammed open. "Yo BB, you up here," Cyborg called looking around. "Yo Raven, Naruto, you guys seen?" He then caught sight of Pa. Now, to be fair, most of the time when he sees a large green animal, it's usually Beast Boy. Unfortunately, this was not one of those times.
"There you are BB. We gotta go. I got Robin in on the stankball game. Took some blackmail, but I did it," he yelled, grabbing Pa. "Unhand me metal man," Pa yelled, whacking him on the head with his stick. From the ground, Cyborg lifted up a finger. "You're not BB," he said shakily, before collapsing back to the ground with swirls in his good eye. After Pa left with a message for someone called Tsunade, whom she learned was the one Naruto affectionately called Ba-chan, Raven and Naruto went for breakfast, the still unconscious Cyborg floating behind them with her magic. As they rode the elevator, he noticed something. "Did you cut your hair?" "Yes," she replied simply. She'd done it last night before falling asleep, not wanting to deal with the tangles in the morning. "It suits you," he commented, causing her to blush. It really did. She had looked good with her long hair, but this Heim-style cut really seemed to fit her. It made her even more beautiful. Wait, what? Luckily for them, their blushes had died down before the elevator deposited them in the main room, which consisted of a kitchen, the command area, the TV, and a gorgeous view over the city. Upon entering, 3 pairs of curious eyes locked on them. "What happened to him?" Robin asked, referring to the still floating Cyborg.
Raven smirked. "He lost a fight with a toad," she said with her usual snark. Robin and Starfire shared confused looks as Beast Boy, who had paused his video game, burst out laughing. "Ha ha ha." As the duo went to the kitchen area for some food, after Raven had floated Cyborg over to the couch, Starfire noticed their apparent closeness, and uncharacteristically smirked. While she was still naive in many things, romance was no longer one of them. When Titan's Tower was first built, she had gone to the store of books to get materials to learn of the Earth culture. One of the books must have had the wrong title though.
She'd bought a book on the shades of gray, fascinated that Earth apparently had 50 different types. When she first read it, she turned red enough that her hair seemed pale in comparison. Quickly hiding it under her bed, she had vowed never to open it again. However, after Kitten had tried to steal Robin, she decided to look at the book one last time for some help to woo Robin. When she read it, though, she'd found she quite liked it. Since then, she had gotten many similar books, though she was careful to hide them from her teammates. Yes, it's true. Starfire is a closet pervert. Somewhere up in heaven, Jiraiya cheers in victory. As such, she's able to see the attraction between the two, even if they did not.
Determined to get them together, both to help her friend and have one less rival for Robin's affection, she formulated a plan. Floating over to the duo as they finished preparing their breakfast, RT in Raven's case, Starfire innocently asked, "Friend Raven, could you ask Naruto if we may share the lip contact?" All activity screeches to a halt, only the sound of a few plates shattering, courtesy of some random spikes in magic, breaking the silence. All eyes, even the now awake cyborgs, turned to her. Before Raven could respond, Robin yelled, "What? Why?" Starfire smiled. She had not considered this. She knew from her reading that jealousy could be used to help one realize that they had the feelings, but had only meant to use it on Raven. Now, it appeared that it had worked on Robin as well. Pretending that she did not realize why he had asked that, she replied, "My people can learn any language through lip contact, and I wish to converse with friend Naruto." As Robin tried to explain to the seemingly oblivious alien why you can't just kiss a guy, Raven reluctantly conveyed her request to Naruto. As much as she, for some reason, disliked the idea, she could see the practicality of it. However, his response totally shocked the Titans, who did not need to know his language to understand him. "What? No, no, no. Not doing that, nah." He rapidly shook his head, his palm out in a defensive position. "Why not?" she asked, confused. Most guys would give their right arm to kiss her, no pun intended, so why did he refuse? Oh no, don't tell me he's gay, she thought, unaware of the similar thoughts running through the other Titans' heads.
No more super-powered kisses. I've already had a toad kiss me to place me in an illusion world and nearly had my soul sucked out by another one. No more. If I'm going to kiss someone, it's going to be a nice, non-powered kiss with a girl I like, Naruto denied vehemently.
Raven sighed in relief. So you're not gay, she asked for clarification.
Naruto shuddered, remembering how his first kiss had been taken by a certain Uchiha. Kami no. Raven smiled at that, though she wondered why she cared so much. It wasn't like she thought being gay was wrong. Wait, your soul was almost sucked out? That must have been one hell of a kiss, she thought, annoyed.
Yeah, that chick was crazier than the snake lady. If I hadn't switched with a cage bushin, she would have gotten me. Kami, sometimes I wish I didn't get their memories. He mumbled that last part, though Raven heard it. Despite not fully understanding, she was pleased to know he hadn't enjoyed it.
Looking back at her lost teammates, she summed up his response. He said no. Seemed like a whole lot more than that, Cyborg commented. Yeah, what did he say? Beast Boy questioned excitedly.
Turning back to her tea, she replied cryptically, something about a toad and his soul. Beside her, Naruto chuckled, being able to guess why she'd said that. She may hide it, but he could tell she was a prankster, if in words instead of action.
Oh yeah. Cyborg suddenly rounded on Beast Boy and hit him upside the head.
Dude, why'd you do that? He complained. My poor head. He whined as a comically large tear formed in his eye. That was for earlier, yo. What do you mean, that was for earlier?
What's going on? Naruto asked, confused as the duo argued.
Cyborg thinks that Pa was Beast Boy, so he's getting revenge for getting knocked out earlier. She answered, taking a sip of her tea. But he looks nothing like Pa. He can change into animals, but they're always green. She explained, then thought for a moment. She was pretty sure he'd realized that it hadn't been Beast Boy. It was probably just the head injury.
Really, he commented, seeming speculative before looking back at the duo. Should we stop them?
Nah, they'll figure it out. She replied with a smirk, which was returned full force. Please, explain why it is bad to be the old maid. Starfire questioned, not really getting the game. After Cyborg and Beast Boy resolved their differences, Starfire had convinced them all to play a game to bond with their new friend. She had insisted that Naruto and Raven sit together. Raven had planned on researching a translation spell for Naruto, but he'd been so excited once she explained what Starfire wanted that she couldn't say no. Raven was currently sharing a deck with Naruto, seeing as how he couldn't really hold his cards right and play with just one hand. Inside his mindscape, the now awake Kurama chuckled silently to himself. He considered reminding Naruto that he could just make a temporary arm with his unique hinge, but he decided that he'd rather let Naruto suffer, than make him feel stupid later. It had nothing to do with the fact that the brat enjoyed being near the half-demon. Nothing at all.
Cyborg had offered to build him a replacement arm later, but the idea of a metal arm just reminded him too much of Sasori. As Starfire finished her question, 3 large metal objects flew past the window behind her. Whoa! What was that? Cyborg shouted. Giant worms? Beast Boy questioned. Just then the 3 objects flew back into view, revealing them to be spaceships, with 2 identical ships firing energy beams at the third.
Don't think so. Raven replied dryly. Titans, go! Robin shouted as they all ran out of the room, with Raven dragging Naruto behind them. She didn't know him nearly as well as she'd like, but she knew he was a fighter, and that he was a good person. He'd follow whether she told him to stay or not. Better have him with them so she could make sure he didn't overdo it with his injuries. The team, plus 1 interdimensional shinobi, ran onto the roof to get a better view. From there, they could see that one ship looked similar to a rocket, while the smaller pursuers resembled stingrays. In an impressive display of flying, the rocket executed a somersault, flying past his enemies. Whoever he is, the guy's a good pilot, Cyborg commented. The ship weaved between enemy fire before rising up above one of the rays, taking it out with twin blue beams. That guy's a great pilot, exclaimed Robin. So, should we do something? Naruto asked. We don't know who they are, or who the good guy is, Raven commented. Her reasoning made sense, but looking back at the others, it was clear who they were rooting for. Just then a figure launched from the rocket, landing on the remaining enemy ship. He crawled up the side before slamming his fists into the glowing red light. Did he just take down that ship with his bare hands? Robin asked in disbelief. Looks like it, Cyborg confirmed before the now smoking ship flew past them, headed straight for the city. Come on man, You can do it. Cyborg encouraged the rider. As it neared the city, he jerked the ship off course to crash in the uninhabited woods outside the city, saving the inhabitants. Naruto's respect for the man rose.
They quickly rushed to the crash site to check on the guy. When they arrived, a silver man emerged from the flames. It takes more than a plasmatic implosion to bring down Valure, he said, taking a dramatic pose. Was he just waiting for us to arrive to leave the crash? 'Cause it took us several minutes to get here. Naruto thought with a sweat drop. Starfire took a quick picture with a large camera, the flash blinding him for a second. Oi, where'd she get that? Because I know she didn't have it earlier. Her tight suit clearly had no space for it, and where'd it go? He thought in confusion, seeing as it was now gone.
As Valure walked towards them, his abandoned ship landed dramatically behind him. That was some amazing flying. Robin complimented. Thanks, Valure of Vernathea, pleased to meet you. I'm Robin, and we're the Teen Titans. That's Raven, Naruto, Beast Boy, he said, pointing to each member in turn. Well, he is staying with us. I guess that makes him a temporary Titan, Raven thought. Should have asked first before introducing him as one though.
Cyborg. Said person extended his hand, shaking Valure's hand. Man, you sure know how to make an entrance. It's all in a day's work, he said, smirking. A chibified Beast Boy, his eyes sparkling, asked. You do that every day? If it was possible, the sparkling became even brighter. The hell? Did he just shape-shift into that thing? Naruto wondered.
Unfortunately not, Kit. It's more like that damned sunset genjutsu those bowl-cut friends of yours use. Kurama corrected. Be grateful it isn't worse than this. I don't think I could take living with anything as bad as that damned illusion.
Naruto shuddered at the thought, then became even more confused. But he doesn't even have chakra. How is he doing it? Lee can't use chakra outside his body, yet he still managed. However the changeling does it, it's just as unbreakable. It defies all logic. No, most days I fight more than just two of them. Valure replied arrogantly, his teeth shining. No, it's just like Guy. He looked around, only to see Raven chibified as well. No, anyone but her, I won't lose her to this. He quickly shook her, thankfully dispelling the illusion. When she looked at him, annoyed, he pointed at Beast Boy. You're not doing that.
She looked over, then blanched at her still transformed teammate. I wasn't doing that, she denied.
Yes, you were. Thinking he was joking, she looked back into his eyes, only to find him dead serious. She shuddered, thanks.
No problem. Valure, who had been watching their interaction with a confident smile, let his face fall to one of displeasure when he spotted Starfire.
Valure. I welcome you to Earth, she greeted cheerfully.
I see you have a Tamaranian. He commented with carefully disguised distaste, something Naruto noticed. After spending the first half of your life hated, it was something you learned to pick up on. His newfound respect of the man immediately fell. It was clear that he was judging her, for what he didn't know, but they clearly hadn't met before. Yeah, Robin confirmed. Starfire's part of the team.
So, who were those guys? Cyborg inquired. They were not guys at all, he replied, his frown becoming a smirk. After hearing that the Locrics were machines bent on galactic domination, and that Valure was going to blow up their homeworld with something called the Eradicator, Robin had volunteered his team to help. He'd offered to let Naruto stay behind, but he was sure that he could take them, even with only one arm.
On his ship, the Titans listened in rapt fascination. It was me versus 20 of them. They had me surrounded. There were Crixies to the left of me, Crixies to the right. Things weren't looking good for Valure. What did you do? Cyborg asked excitedly. Naruto sat off to the side. I don't understand a word he just said, but he's a pretty good storyteller.
Well, I certainly wasn't going to let them get me, he said, full of confidence, so I led them to a trap, short-circuited the lot of them, and escaped without a scratch. Dude. Those Crixies didn't know what was coming, Beast Boy said in awe.
Valure chuckled. They sure didn't, son. The Titans all turned to each other with wide smiles, even Raven, prompting Naruto to sweat drop for the second time that day. Just installed a new neutron turbo engine. He placed a hand on Cyborg's shoulder. You wanna give her a spin? He asked, pointing to the ship's controls. Cyborg looked back at him, tears of joy streaming from his good eye. A biggity ha da da? He asked in disbelief, pointing to himself, then back at the controls, before seemingly drooling in pleasure. I think that's a yes. Raven unnecessarily translated for Valure, who allowed Cyborg to jump onto the controls. He then dragged Robin to another chair. Robin, why don't you navigate? As he sat down in the chair, numerous holographic displays popped up. Ooh, he awed. Raven, Beast Boy, man the blasters. Cool, Beast Boy exclaimed as he sped past Raven to his station.
Can I blast whoever I want? She asked in annoyance, walking to hers.
Naruto, why don't you? Naruto cut him off, pointing to his mouth. Oh, that's right, you can't understand me. Well, I can't place you at the controls if we're going to be attacked. Still, you're a fine man, he said as he clapped him on the back, though he failed to move the shinobi. He then went to stand dramatically at his command chair, completely bypassing Starfire, which Naruto noted. Starfire looked at him hopefully as she waited. When no offer came, asked, is there not a task for me? I also wish to be useful. Before he could reply, the ship was rocked by an explosion, throwing Starfire around. Intruders, the silver alien shouted. The cargo hold has been compromised.
The Locrix? Robin asked. They're after the Eradicator. Cyborg, keep us on course and keep an eye out for more, he ordered. Can do, you four, come with me, he continued, indicating Raven, Beast Boy, Robin, and Naruto.
As they left the bridge, Starfire followed them. Upon their arrival, Valure blasted the leading robot with some red energy beams from his eyes, as the rest of the Titans jumped down behind him. I'll take the ugly one, Valure commented, before the opposing groups leapt at each other. Valure defeated two in close combat as Beast Boy first smashed one as a gorilla, before climbing onto a second as a squirrel. Behind him, another was encased in black energy as Raven threw it into another. Robin dodged several tentacle-like limbs, before he jumping up to the roof and launching himself into a drop kick smashing into one. He had to quickly backflip out of range of several other limbs that attempted to skewer him. As more shot towards him, the bots failed to notice the small green rodent running atop them. Said rodent jumped into the air before shifting into an alligator and flying chomped one, then it rapidly shifted into a triceratops to ram another. Off to the side, Starfire and Naruto were blasting through a large group with a mixture of starbolts and Rasengans. Robin missed an arm and was thrown into the wall. Watch out, they can sting you, Valure warned as he held back an enemy. Just as warned, several protrusions attempted to impale Robin, which he dodged, before running along the curved walls, avoiding the rest in an impressive display of acrobatics. Jumping down, he threw two boomerangs, which curved around before both hitting one dead center. Nice shot, Valure grunted as he threw away his opponent. Thanks. Robin looked over the room, before two more mechs landed in front of them. Think you can handle these two? The alien questioned, receiving a confident, got it, in return. As Valure flew over the scene, he saw Raven blast a Crixie that was about to fry the bomb, before it got back up. Hit it in the central processor, he suggested, before flying towards the recovering bot. Like this, he yelled as he punched a hole straight through its chest. As several more surrounded them, Raven fired off several sharp blasts of energy that pierced each one in the indicated area. They stood still for a moment, before all falling in sync. Hey, remind me to stay on your good side, he commented.
Making his way over to the bomb, he watched Beast Boy take out several in succession.
Nice work, son, he complimented, rubbing his hair. A robot began to sneak up behind him, before being blasted away by a bolt of green energy. It stumbled back into the Eradicator before falling to the ground. The bomb beeped a few times, before calming down. Watch it, are you trying to blow up the ship? He yelled in Starfire's face. Naruto, who was next to her, frowned. Sure, she made a mistake, but she'd done it while protecting him. I will be more careful next time, she apologized. There won't be a next time. He declined harshly before storming off and took out the remaining Locrix as she looked on, hurt. Naruto nudged her to grab her attention, told her, hey, don't listen to that guy. You were just protecting a comrade, and we're still in one piece. He gave her a thumbs up and smiled. You did good. While she still couldn't understand, his message must have gotten across, as she gave him a small smile. Yes, thank you, friend Naruto. Back with Valure, the rest of the Titans were in awe of his decimation of the remaining forces. That was awesome, cool, not bad, commented Beast Boy, Robin, and Raven, respectively. Okay team, back to the bridge. We need to be ready in case they are foolish enough to launch another attack. As they walked past him to the bridge, Naruto heard Starfire speak, and decided stay back to listen, hidden from both of the. Valure seemed to have a grudge against Starfire, which both he and Kurama could easily sense, and he wanted to make sure that his friend was safe. I wish to apologize. I did not mean to endanger your ship. I was only trying to help. He turned back to face her with glowing eyes, and said in a voice dripping with contempt, I don't need help from a stupid troc. causing Starfire to gasp. Later, as they walked towards the bridge, Naruto listened to the others talking among each other. He assumed they were talking about how great Valure was, as he heard his name mentioned several times. Starfire trailed behind them, looking depressed, and Naruto seethed inside. He had no idea what a troc was, but he could tell it was an insult. A horrible one at that, if her reaction was any indication. He'd called her that several times while he insulted her. He walked away after about a minute of verbal abuse. It was a good thing he had, because he was one insult away from having a Rasengan shoved up his ass, and Kurama's encouragement to do so hadn't really helped. Usually, the fox didn't take an interest in humans, but apparently he'd taken a liking to her. With his negative emotion sensing, he could easily tell that his host's alien friend didn't have a single mean bone in her body. That, coupled with her innocent joy, and he'd been unable to resist growing fond of her in the short time they'd been in this dimension. From the very beginning Naruto had to restrain himself from interfering. Only the threat of the Locrix looming over them, which they needed his help stop, kept him from doing so. As much as they wished it were otherwise, he had not lied about them. Kurama had confirmed that he hadn't told a single lie since they'd met. He might be a bastard, but at least he's an honest bastard. He thought dryly. He wanted to comfort Starfire, but he didn't want to make a scene in front of her friends. Robin noticed Starfire hanging back, and called, "Starfire, come on. We don't want to be late for the briefing." "Last one, there's a rotten egg," Beast Boy challenged, seemingly oblivious to his teammates' mood as he rushed off. As the others moved to join him, Naruto came to a decision and grabbed Raven by the arm. Unable to follow due to said arm, the three boys soon left them behind. "Naruto," she questioned, before noticing Starfire. She wondered why she hadn't run off with the others. "Raven, I need you to tell Starfire to kiss me," he said with a frown. "What?" she yelled, surprised. "Why, I thought you didn't want to do that." Her exclamation was enough to rouse some curiosity in her depressed teammate. "Something bad happened. I need to talk to her about it. Please," he explained. Raven turned to look back at Starfire before arguing some more, only to stop as she finally noticed the look in her friend's eyes. Wondering what the hell happened, and seeing that Naruto seemed to know, she obliged. "Starfire," she stated, gently to get her attention. "Yes, friend Raven," she put on a smile so fake that it physically hurt Naruto. "Naruto said he needs to talk to you." "Okay." She waited for him to tell Raven what he wanted to say, but when he didn't, she looked at her female friend, confused. Her concern for her friend far outweighing her distaste of them kissing, she clarified. "Himself. He wants you to kiss him so you can talk." She tilted her head. I thought he did not want to do the lip contact. She was far too depressed by Valure's words to be thinking about getting the two together.
He said it's important. She looked back at their blonde companion and saw the serious expression on his face. "Okay," she said, hesitantly. She walked forward and pressed her lips against him. There was no passion there. Both were stiff with their arms hanging at their sides. Naruto, as in tune with his body as he was, noticed a flow of energy between them. It wasn't chakra, but it was similar. While Kurama could have blocked it, he knew what was going on and let it pass. After several seconds, she broke contact and stepped back.
"Can you understand me?" Naruto questioned. "Yes, friend Naruto. It is good to finally converse with you," she replied with a small amount of her usual cheer entering her voice.
"Do you want Raven here? I do not understand. Here for what?" she questioned, not knowing that he knew of the other alien's animosity towards her. "Valure," he said, confusing Raven and drawing a look of sad understanding from the redhead.
"She may stay," she conceded, knowing that her friend would get the answer sooner or later now that she knew something was going on. She prepared for him to start questioning her.
"Are you all right?" he asked with a gentleness that surprised the two girls.
"Of course, she began with her false smile, only to sigh, knowing he would not be fooled by it. "No, I am not all right," she corrected herself and hugged her arms against her chest, fighting back tears. Naruto and Raven locked gazes, before nodding. Together, they hugged their friend, who allowed her pent-up tears to fall. They sat there for a while, letting her cry in their arms. After she had finished crying, he asked, "Are you feeling better?" She nodded, then he asked the question that had been weighing on his mind. "Good. Now, can you tell me what troc means?" They both felt her flinch at the word. "Please," he continued, "I need to know what he called you."
Now, Raven was starting to put the pieces together, and the picture it made wasn't pleasant. At some point, Valure had insulted Starfire, maybe done worse, and she hadn't noticed because she'd been too wrapped up in her hero worship. "It means nothing," She responded as she took a step back from the group hug, confusing Naruto for a second, before the true meaning hit. That bastard. Naruto spat venomously. Raven, who couldn't understand when Starfire spoke in Elemental, was concerned at what could make her normally happy friend curse like she couldn't understand. He elaborated. Valure was calling her Troc on the cargo hold after you guys left. I stayed behind because I could tell he didn't like her. He paused, before looking at Raven dead in the eyes. It means nothing. He was calling her a nothing, like she doesn't matter. Like she's worthless. Inside his mindscape, Kurama growled, doing his best to keep his anger from seeping between their link. Raven took a calming breath before asking, why would he call you such a name? She asked, maintaining her calm demeanor for her friend's sake. There are those on other planets that feel like Tamaranians are inferior. Troc is what they call us. He's calling you that, just because you're a Tamaranian? She asked, both for clarification and for Naruto. He, in turn, understood her situation from his childhood, and you know that if you retaliate, you'll just be proving him right. Her eyes lifted in understanding. Yes, you know what it's like to be judged for a reason outside of your control.
Yay, I know what it feels like to be judged. The glares, the name-calling, the pain of being all alone. Seeing their confusion mingled with concern, he explained. For a long time, my village hated me for Kurama. Before being sealed into me, he was placed under a powerful illusion and forced to attack my home. A lot of good people died that night, and even though it wasn't his fault, they didn't know that, and they hated him. Whenever they looked at me, they could only see him. The girls gasped, and inside the seal, Kurama spoke, sorry about that, Kit. It wasn't your fault, we both know that, he continued. So yes, I know what it feels like. He placed a hand on her shoulder. But you are not what other people say you are. You are your own person, and both Raven and I know how great a person that is. You are smart and brave. You are not worthless, you're our friend. He's right, Raven added, pulling Starfire into another hug. I may not be very good at showing it, but I really care about you. All the Titans do, she said, pulling back. Now, let's go tell Robin. Naruto, fully on board with that idea, was about to turn to head back to the bridge before Starfire's words stopped him. Wait, perhaps we should wait to inform Robin later. I do not wish to endanger the mission. She spoke sadly. When she repeated it in Elemental for Naruto, he shook his head. No, my sensei had a saying. Those who abandon the rules are scum, this is true. But those who abandon their friends are worse than scum. If we tell Robin, we might endanger the mission and become scum. If we don't, we are abandoning you, becoming less than scum. He thought for a moment before adding with a smile, besides, I'd gladly become scum for you.
Raven nodded. He's right. Robin needs to know. Starfire smiled and nodded. What took so long, Troc? We need to plan for the mission, and you're holding us up. Valure reprimanded as they entered the bridge. Before anyone could comment, however, an alarm blared.
More Crixies? Beast Boy asked. Valure typed rapidly on his command board. No, mines. A hologram of said minefield appeared above the table. A dirty Locrix trap. Our ship won't be able to pass through the minefield. If one goes, they'll all go. He turned back to face the newcomers. This is a job for you, Troki. Get out there and move those mines.
Are you sure it's safe? Robin asked. It's just a few mines.
Raven, understanding what he was doing, was about to come to her friend's defense before she beat her to it. Valure, you are such a brave warrior. Are you sure you do not wish to move these devices yourself? Starfire challenged.
Of course I could move them, he snapped back, but I'm needed inside. Only an experienced pilot could navigate through here. Besides, your people can withstand the hostile conditions of space. Both girls scowled, but couldn't deny his logic.
While Raven and Naruto stayed on the bridge to make sure Valure didn't do anything that could get their friend hurt, Starfire was putting on her headset by the airlock. Before she could leave, Cyborg approached her. Are you sure you want to do this?
I wish to prove my usefulness, she said, before a nearby screen lit up with Valure's image. Let's get going. We haven't got all day, Troc, he said before the feed cut off. Up on the bridge, two people grit their teeth, but had decided to wait until after the current crisis to do anything about it. Troc. Cyborg questioned. What does that mean? She turned around to exit. It means nothing. Then, remembering her earlier conversation, added, but he is wrong. Before leaving through the airlock.
Cyborg was confused, but he shook it off. As everyone, aside from Naruto, sat in their stations, Starfire flew towards the minefield.
Nice and easy. Valure commented as she pushed the first mine out of the way. We don't want any mistakes this time. I will not make any. she declared with determination. Catching the gist of it, Naruto was both proud of his friend and thoroughly annoyed at the man. They watched as Starfire moved several mines in rapid succession, creating a large enough gap in the field for the ship to pass through. As she released the last mine, however, the bridge crew noticed that it was floating towards another one. "Watch it, Troki. They're on a collision course," he shouted, slightly panicked. Starfire gasped and rushed to stop it. "Gah! I can't watch," Beast Boy quailed, hiding his face in his hands. Bracing herself between the two mines, she groaned as she pushed back against them, just barely managing to stop their momentum before they touched, and let out a sigh of relief. Beast Boy uncovered an eye. "Did we blow up yet?" he asked.
"Yep, that's why you're still talking," Raven remarked sarcastically, eliciting an amused snort from Naruto despite his foul mood. As Starfire flew away from the mines, one of her boots brushed its tip, activating it.
"You tripped the detonator. You only have 20 seconds, Valure shouted in alarm. Determined, Starfire flew at the bomb. Inside, Robin unbuckled himself. "I'm going out there." "No, it's too dangerous," Valure denied. He sat back down, frustrated beyond belief.
Starfire arrived at the bomb and pushed it out of sight. The bridge watched with bated breaths, before an enormous explosion lit the void. All the Titans looked on in horror, before Starfire's voice sounded over the communication link. "You may proceed safely," causing them to cheer while Valure grimaced in irritation. Never doubted her for a second. Beast Boy claimed as he wrapped his arms around Raven from behind, eliciting a silent growl from a certain blonde. "Raven, you really shouldn't worry so much." She scowled at him in annoyance, causing him to quickly release his grip on her.
Starfire entered through the airlock, where Cyborg, Raven, and Naruto were waiting for her. "Way to go, Troki," Cyborg congratulated, his hand raised for a high five. This caused 3 reactions. Starfire gasped, Raven scowled, and Naruto, forgetting that he was most likely ignorant of the term's meaning, punched the teen into the wall, denting it. Before he could complain, Starfire marched up to him, poking him in the chest. "You do not call me that," she demanded. "But, Valure calls you Trock all the time." Cyborg, Raven hissed in agitation.
"That does not make it right," Starfire said sadly, turning away as Cyborg crawled out of the wall.
"It's an insult," Raven told Cyborg. "A bad one, but she said it didn't mean anything." "No," Starfire clarified. "I said it means nothing. When Valure calls me Trock, he is saying that I am worthless, a nothing." She went on to explain how other races look down upon Tamaranians as inferior, something Cyborg could relate to on 2 levels. "We were about to tell Robin before the minefield interrupted us," Raven informed her friend. "Okay. Let's go find him," he responded, "and that's how we defeated Control Freak," Robin concluded, having regaled Valure with one of his tales. "Sounds like you handled your team well," he placed a hand on his shoulder. "You're a true leader. You remind me of myself when I was your age, Spike." At that, Robin gave an impossibly wide smile before being pulled into a noogie. Just then the bridge door opened. "Robin, can I get a word?" Cyborg asked as he entered with the others. Valure shot him a finger gun before he walked over. As he explained in a low whisper, Robin harshly questioned, "What?" "And that's what he's been calling her this whole time," Cyborg finished, still whispering. "Starfire, why didn't you say something?" he asked. Not giving them a chance to answer, he pounded his palm with a fist. "He will apologize. I'm going to make." "No, Robin," Starfire interrupted. "Our mission is more important than my feelings." Naruto scowled. Whatever she'd said had stopped Robin. Even though logically he agreed that they should wait until after the mission to confront Valure, he was still itching to beat some sense into him. Before a decision could be made one way or another, an alarm blared. "We've arrived at Sentient. Prepare for landing." As he says this, the ship had to dodge multiple plasma blasts. With a hard face, he growled, "Looks like they were expecting us." They quickly made their way to the ship's exit ramp. "Okay, Titans, here's the plan," Valure ordered. "Cyborg and Robin, take the lead. Beast Boy, Raven, and Naruto, guard our escape route. I'm taking the Quantum Eradicator and putting an end to the filthy Crixies once and for all." Robin glared at the man. "What about Starfire?" he asked. "Guard the ship, Trock," he ordered as he prepped the Eradicator. "No, I am going with you," she declared. He yelled in response, "I gave you an order. I do not take orders from you. If my friends go into danger, so do I. Besides, my people can withstand hostile conditions." She threw his earlier words back at him. As the ship landed, they were met with a horde of robots guarding the entrance to the canyon that led to their base. Let's do this, Valure said. Immediately, Robin and Cyborg attacked the enemy with a mixture of sonic blasts, batarangs, and hand-to-hand, allowing Starfire and Valure, who was wearing the Eradicator like an oversized backpack, passage to fly through the throng. Raven gathered her energy and blasted several droids off the canyon walls. Now that he had room to maneuver in, unlike back in the ship, Naruto summoned several clones as reinforcements, much to the surprise of the remaining Titans. Unfortunately, the Locrix had completely destroyed the environment on this planet, so much so that he could barely sense any natural energy, making Sage Mode nearly impossible.
As he and his clones went to town on a large group of robots, though one clone went off somewhere, Beast Boy maneuvered through the tentacle limbs of another group before flying high above them. There, he transformed into a Brontosaurus, falling on and crushing his group. Reverting back to normal, he gave a proud smile, before flinching back as several more landed by him.
The clone that went off on its own follows Starfire and Valure. He was impressed with the ease she decimated several bots, but he frowned as he watched the silver alien repeatedly deny her offers of assistance in carrying the weight he was obviously struggling with.
Inside the base, he saw Valure place and arm the device. It can't have been that easy. See Naruto, i.e. Clone Naruto thought. Sure enough, an iridescent blue barrier trapped Valure with his bomb. He watched with a mixture of awe and pride in his friend as she risked her life and forced her way through the barrier with brute strength before dragging the resisting man out. With only seconds to spare, she grabbed the injured Valure before flying away.
Back with the other Titans, the robots suddenly shut down as Naruto received the information from his clone. They did it! Robin exclaimed, before Starfire flew out of the explosion carrying Valure, his arm draped across her shoulders for support. No, she did it. Cyborg corrected. Starfire, are you okay? Beast Boy asked. Valure requires medical attention, she replied. Valure stood facing the rest of the Titans on the roof of the tower, his right arm in a sling. Well, thank you for all your help. Don't thank us. Thank Starfire, Robin demanded, pointing at her. Yeah, she's the one who saved your sorry butt. Starfire shifted further into the group, a bit uncomfortable. Thank you. Starfire. He managed, though you could tell he was struggling. I have to admit you're not bad for a truck. Upon saying the word, Naruto punched him in the jaw, knocking him to the ground.
Cammy, that felt good. Hey, I was trying to pay her a compliment. He complained.
Then why does it still sound like an insult? Raven said, glaring at the man.
Spike, you understand, I didn't mean anything by it, it's just.
Valure. Robin said, cutting him off, I think it's time for you to go. He stared at them before saying, I thought you Earthlings were alright. I guess I was wrong. You're just like the Trokes. He flew up to his ship before flying it away.
I'm sorry Valure treated you like that. Robin apologized. If I'd known, I never would have let it happen. None of us would, Cyborg agreed. There is nothing you could have done. Starfire said, there will always be people who say mean words because you are different, and sometimes their minds cannot be changed. But there are many more people who do not judge others based on how they look or where they are from. Those are the people whose words truly matter. Two figures sat atop Titan's tower, bathed in the glow of the rising sun. Beside a floating raven, Naruto sat peacefully, fully in tune with the nature around him. Since the Valure incident 2 weeks ago, he had taken to joining Raven in her morning meditation. He did this both to gather natural energy for Kurama and, though he'd only admit to himself, to spend more time with the female. Unbeknownst to him, Raven had finished her meditation, and was now just observing him, her hood down, with a fond smile. Since summoning Pa, he'd had fairly consistent communication with his home world. One of the first scrolls he'd received had contained several items, including his clothes. He looked good, she decided, decked out in his new sage cloak. She blushed slightly, thinking about the previous night. Begin long flashback asterisk. Hey Raven-chan, Naruto asked. Yes, they were currently sitting off to the side in the main room, watching, or ignoring in Raven's case, Beast Boy and Cyborg argue about meat again. Even though she had finally found a translation spell, though it had been surprisingly difficult to find one that worked on Kurama, they still enjoyed each other's company. They'd often discuss various topics, or just sit together in comfortable silence. Why do you always wear your hood up? It adds to the image, she supplied, looking up from her book. The image? Yes. If you can intimidate your opponents, they don't fight as well, she explained. Oh, that makes sense. As a ninja, Naruto knew all about intimidation tactics. Back home, Ibiki was a master with them. Still, why are you wearing it now? We're all friends here, and I like looking at your face. You do, she asked, hopefully. Why did she care so much?
Well, yeah. I mean, you're one of the prettiest girls I know. Why wouldn't I?
She blushed an atomic red, though thankfully her still raised hood hid it well. Having gotten to know him much better over the past 2 weeks, she knew he meant it. He wasn't flirting, or just saying that to make her feel nice. He wasn't that kind of guy. Whenever he spoke, he only told the whole, unfiltered truth. It was refreshing.
Besides, he was more oblivious than Beast Boy. When they'd gone out for pizza, the waitress was clearly trying to seduce him, something that bothered Raven. Luckily, he hadn't noticed. At all. Thank you. She managed sincerely, before feeling compelled to ask, what about Starfire? She's cute. He rubbed the back of his head, but her hair reminds me too much of my mom. Look. He reached down, pulled out a scroll, and unrolled it onto the table with both hands. He then channeled some chakra into it, unsealing a picture. A few days ago, Raven had visited Naruto in his room, being drawn by a steady banging noise. There, she had found Naruto repeatedly hitting the wall with his head while muttering, "Baka."
Apparently, he'd had a technique called a henge that could give him a temporary arm. He'd explained that it would vanish after one hit, so it wouldn't be useful in battle, except for his clones, who already shared the same limitation, but he could use it for non-combative situations. She added it to her ever-growing list of his abilities. Upon hearing him rant about stingy prankster foxes, she'd been unable to contain her giggles any longer. Back in the present, she looked at the photo he handed her. In it, a man who looked remarkably similar to Naruto was holding a pregnant woman's belly, looking at it with such love she could feel it through the picture. The woman, who possessed red hair similar to Starfire's, was smiling, looking just as happy. Are those my parents? He confirmed. After a quiet pause, during which Raven lowered her hood to get a better look, he added, "You know, I actually got to meet them." This surprised Raven, who knew how they'd died after she'd asked for the full story behind Kurama's sealing, as well as his treatment by the villagers. Suffice it to say, she'd had to meditate for a few extra hours that night. How?
When they sealed Kurama and me, they both left some of their chakra behind to help me with him. He chuckled fondly. I actually punched Dad in the gut when he showed up. This drew a smile from Raven. But we talked, and I came to understand how much it hurt him to do it. Ya know. Talking to them, I could tell how much they loved me. A tear slid down his smiling face. That must have been nice, Raven commented, not knowing what else to say.
It was. Raven was searching for something to say before he continued. I hope I can have that one day. Have what? A family, he responded, unaware of how that set Raven's heart racing. Some kids to spoil, that I can smother with love. A wife that I can devote myself to, that I can give my heart to. He let out a wistful sigh. Maybe someday I'll find the right person.
Raven, her heart still racing, placed her hand over his. You will. You're too great a guy not to. As Naruto took his turn to blush, she quietly excused herself, handing him back the picture. I have something I need to do. Thank you for talking about this with me. We should do it again sometime.
His eyes met hers and he smiled. She calmly walked out into the hall, before the door shut behind her. Then, she flew to her room, quickly shutting the door behind her. Walking over to her dresser, she picked up a demonic-looking mirror. She didn't know what was going on with her emotions, but she was going to find out.
Asterisk 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 end long flashback asterisk asterisk asterisk. The conversation with her emotions had been interesting to say the least. But at least she now knew what was going on. She was in love. It didn't make any sense. It had only been 2 weeks, barely enough time for a fledgling crush to form, much less fall in love. And yet, that's exactly what had happened. After Malchior, she'd all but given up on love, especially with her father's prophecy looming over her. But then this strange blonde teen, who'd managed to somehow worm his way into her heart, evoking emotions so strong that she was surprised she hadn't accidentally blown up the tower. Actually, now that she thought about it, her powers never seemed to spike around him. Oh well, something to think about later. For now, she was content to watch her friend. While to an outside observer, Naruto appeared. Inside his mindscape, he paced back and forth furiously. Calm down, brat, Kurama said from under the shade of a massive tree. You're giving me whiplash. After everything had settled down in this new dimension, Naruto had set about changing his mindscape for his friend. It had been surprisingly easy, what with him being able to draw upon both Kurama's and Raven's vast knowledge on the subject. It no longer resembled a sewer, but a vast grassy field, spotted with the occasional giant tree, not as large as the god tree, but large enough for Kurama to sit comfortably under.
That wasn't what had him up in arms, though. No, it was something much more serious.
I can't, and you know that, he shouted in Elemental. While they could both speak English, they still preferred their own language. Despite yelling at him, though, Kurama wasn't the one Naruto was mad at. That bastard is planning on killing Raven-chan to invade Earth. And we have no idea how to stop it. Yes, Naruto knew about Trigon. When he'd asked Raven why her energy shared similarities with Slade, she told him pretty much everything, much to her own surprise. It was one thing to be half-demon. It was another to be the harbinger for Armageddon. However, his reaction made her glad she did.
Begin short flashback asterisk. Naruto, having just been told about Trigon's plans, growled. Naruto, Raven asked, unsure at the sound. He has no right, he ground out, before shouting in Elemental, he has no right to use you like that. He's supposed to be your father. He's supposed to protect you. To love you, but instead he stopped, reining in his partner's chakra that he'd allowed to leak out, before continuing. I won't let that happen. We will stop your FA. No, he lost the right to be called that. We will stop Trigon. Together. I won't let him take you. He finished with conviction.
Meeting Raven's eyes, he saw tears forming, and was about to apologize for whatever he said to upset her when she threw her arms around him, letting her tears fall as she rested her face on his chest. Thank you, Naruto. He smiled. Of course, Ravenheim. Asterisk 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 and short flashback asterisk asterisk asterisk.
He wasn't sure if they could take Trigon at full strength, which would still take them several months to achieve. And it wasn't like using shadow clones could speed up the process either. No matter how many he made, his overall reserves, and thus the amount of natural energy he gathered, stayed the same. It didn't really matter, as it was a moot point anyway. If he had to fight Trigon, that would mean that Raven was already dead, something he refused to let happen.
Since learning about it, he'd been constantly searching for a way to stop the prophecy. Unfortunately, Kurama wasn't much help. Not that he was unwilling, but as he'd said, Kit, I'm not like other demons. I never spent time in hell, or went to demon school, or whatever. I'm just as clueless as you are. Since then, at any point in time he had over a dozen shadow clones scouring the internet and whatever old tomes they could find in an attempt to find a solution. Still, it was a slow process.
Kurama looked at his friend. He, of course, knew why the boy was so worked up. It was clear as day that he had feelings for Raven, strong ones at that. Unfortunately, it was something he had to figure out for himself. Kid, calm down. I know it's frustrating. I'm just as upset as you are. But we're doing everything we can, so there's no point in ranting like that Uchiha about it. Besides, we both know we can kick this, Slade's, ass if it comes to that. Naruto took a deep breath to calm himself, before smiling up at his furry friend. Thanks, Kurama. He paused, then frowned. I wasn't as bad as Sasuke, was I?
The fox laughed. Not quite, but you were getting there. Naruto shuddered. If it ever gets to that point, just stomp on me a few times, will you?
Will do. Now, get out of here. Your green friend's coming up here.
Back outside his mind, Naruto opened his eyes as the door to the roof opened. Turning to face it, he saw that it was indeed Beast Boy. Dudes, come on. We got a mission. Apparently, some UFOs are taking, he trailed off, as his eyes glazed over. Naruto looked to Raven in confusion, but she just shrugged. Beast Boy? You okay there? She questioned. In response, she heard a low rumbling sound. Are you purring? She asked in disbelief as she walked towards him. However, he ignored Raven and headed towards her friend.
Beast Boy, Naruto asked uncertainly as the green human approached. His uncertainty changed to concern as he morphed into a large green tiger, the purring now a deep rumble. Beast Boy, he questioned again, a bit more urgently as he began to scramble to his feet. Unfortunately, he never made it that far. In one leap, the tiger pounced on him, knocking him to the ground and dispersing his hanged arm. Naruto! Raven cried in panic as she rushed over, before pausing at the strange sight. Beast Boy, still rumbling like a jet turbine, was nuzzling, rubbing his entire body against Naruto, wrapping his paws around him to prevent escape. Raven! Help me! Naruto shouted in panic. Sure, he had enhanced strength as he was still in Sage mode, but with only one arm, he couldn't pry him off. The only way to free himself would be to hit his friend, and with the aforementioned strength, that was a bad idea. Raven, snapping out of her stupor, continued her approach. Upon arriving at the duo, she noticed that the feline's eyes were extremely dilated. Honestly, it reminded her of the time Starfire covered herself in catnip and dragged her to the cat shelter. Seeing that neither were in any real danger, she decided that this was an opportunity that she couldn't pass up. In a bit, Naruto,
As she said this, a video camera appeared next to her in a burst of black energy. I just need to get some evidence first. Naruto looked at her, then the camera, then back at her, before smirking. Yes, I knew you were a prankster, he shouted in victory. It's not a prank. It's blackmail, she denied. Sure it is, Naruto replied smugly.
After several minutes of filming, Naruto's sage mode ran out. As Beast Boy started to come out of his stupor, Naruto suddenly smacked himself in the face. Or he would have, if he wasn't still being restrained. Of course, he groaned. What? Raven asked, not getting it. He was attracted to my sage mode. He groaned.
Huh, why? Is it because of his powers? Raven questioned. Partially. All animals instinctively seek out natural energy. It's why most animals avoid cities. However, Beast Boy is connected to nature in a way I've never seen, in either animals or sages. To him, I must have seemed like a drug to him, he explained. That was surprisingly well said. Raven commented, before deadpanning. Kurama helped you put that together, didn't he? Hey, I can be smart. She said, not believing him.
Just then, the tiger morphed back into Beast Boy. UHG, what happened? He questioned, rubbing his eyes. Opening them, he saw that he was straddling Naruto. Springing back, he yelled, dude, what are you doing? He looked around, and how did I get up here? Well, after you came up here to tell us about a mission, you decided to attack Naruto with tiger cuddles. Raven smirked.
What? I didn't do that, he claimed, before looking at Naruto for support. Right.
Hate to burst your manly image, but you did. Seeing that he was about to go into denial, he pointed back at Raven. Following his finger, Beast Boy said that she was holding a video camera so that he could see the screen. There, said cuddling could be seen playing. Dudes.
Summoning Shadow Clone, Naruto nodded at it. Naruto grabbed the original's hand and flung him up to the ship before dispersing. Sticking to the bottom with chakra, he was about to climb to the top, but was stopped as he was struck by electric beams, knocking him off. Naruto! Raven yelled as she prepared to dive and catch him.
Before she could do so, he created a clone mid-air and, using it as a springboard, jumped forward, breaking his downward momentum and propelling him back towards the UFO. He repeated once more, then landed on the ground running. I'm okay. Help Cyborg, he called as they approached the city. Using some chakra-enhanced parkour, he was able to maneuver through the buildings and catch up with them in time to see the ship suddenly stop mid-air, throwing Cyborg forward into a building. Raven was able to hold HP the falling debris long enough for Starfire and Robin to clear out the people under it, before allowing it to fall to the ground. He landed beside the Titans, sans Beast Boy, as Robin questioned his teammate. Cyborg, where did it go?
I don't know, he scratched his head in confusion. Just then, a clearly exhausted green bear walked up to them, transforming into Beast Boy. This is the third time this week it's gotten away. Robin exclaimed in agitation as he pounded his palm. At least there's some good news. Cyborg replied cheerfully as he brushed some ruble off his shoulder. You finally decided to let me drive the T-car? Beast Boy asked in hope. Naruto managed to resist the urge to snort at that disastrous scenario, knowing full well that Cyborg would never allow it. No, I found a new place for breakfast, Cyborg exclaimed, moving to give them a clear view as the sun rose behind him. Mega meaty meat? Robin questioned. I've never heard of this place before. Sounds healthy. Raven remarked sarcastically as she lowered her hood.
Come on guys, what better way to end a stakeout than with a nice, juicy steak? He exclaimed, as his head seemed to expand.
Huh, where'd he learn Iruka-sensei's big head jutsu? Naruto wondered. Hello. Does the word, I'm a vegetarian, mean anything to you? He yelled, getting in his face. There is no way you could ever get me inside a place like that. He crossed his arms. Tell them, Naruto.
Tell them what? He questioned. Beast Boy rounded on him and exclaimed, aren't you sage people supposed to like animals? He pointed at the building dramatically. This place is a slaughterhouse.
A sage? Robin questioned. Sorry Beast Boy, I've gotta go with Sai on this one. He denied, getting a my man, in return. Every sage I know eats meat. He continued, before thinking. Well, I'm not sure about Super Gramps. One sec.
Oi Kurama, did Super Gramps eat meat? Are you really asking me that? He deadpanned.
Yes, it's important. Yes, the old man ate meat. Now let me sleep, he said in exasperation.
Yep, all the sages of Med ate meat. Naruto confirmed.
Beast Boy looked at him, betrayed. Well, I'm still not going. Besides, Robin interjected, we should get back to the tower and start tracking that ship. Back at the tower, Naruto was preparing some Ichiraku's cup ramen, courtesy of his new favorite scroll, when he spotted Beast Boy drooling to a magazine. No, I thought I was done with perverts in this dimension. Isn't she amazing? He heard. Sweet Cammy, he's actually panting.
He watched as Starfire walked up behind him, prompting him quickly ducked behind the counter to avoid being caught up in her female fury on the pervert, unaware of Starfire's stash of special books. From behind the counter, he heard her question, you are aware that this, you feel affection for is merely a land vehicle. Causing Naruto to face fault.
Seriously? He questioned, before his timer buzzed. All right, he exclaimed, grabbing the food of the gods. Later, Naruto walked back into the main room to see an irritated Raven rubbing her temples. What did Beast Boy do this time? He asked, knowing full well that his green friend has perfected the art of annoying her. He came in here complaining about a conspiracy to keep him from getting a moped, she groaned. What's a moped? Naruto may know the language, but if there wasn't an equivalent word for it elemental, he was left in the dark.
It's kind of like a motorcycle. He thought for a bit, before putting the pieces together. Would a moped be considered a land vehicle? Yes, she confirmed, unsure why he asked that, then startled chuckling. Raven waited, not quite minding the sound of his laughter. As he settled down, she asked, what's so funny? He let out another small chuckle as he explained. Okay, so I was making some ramen in the kitchen. She cut him off. I thought I told you to lighten up on the ramen. When he'd received his first delivery from the Toads, he'd eaten it for every meal until Raven had put her foot down. I only had 1 cup. He defended himself. Seeing her nod in acknowledgement, he continued. So I was in the kitchen making ramen, when I see Beast Boy drooling over what I assumed was a porn magazine, when Starfire walks up behind him. What? She shouted, sparks of black energy emerging from her eyes. How dare he expose her innocent friend to such material? Oh Raven, if only you knew.
Ah, there's the female fury. It's actually pretty cool to see when it's not aimed at me or Ero Sennin. He idly thought through his terror. Wait, let me finish before you go kill him. He got out. Seeing her rage diminish slightly, he spoke rapidly. So, Star said, you were aware that this, is a land vehicle, and Beast Boy gets all upset that she called it, just, a land vehicle. I was laughing because I just now realized he was drooling over a motorcycle. His delivery of the story was rushed, but hopefully it would be enough to save Beast Boy's life. Thankfully the angry sparks of energy dissipated, and the calming Raven remarked, you know, I really should have seen that coming. He probably doesn't even know what porn is. Naruto sighed in relief, making a mental note to never do anything to have that anger directed at him.
Let's see, Cyborg contemplated. The team was currently sitting at the counter of Mega Meaty Meat, the current place of work of their favorite vegetarian. The irony was not lost on any of them. I'll have 8 number 3s, 5 number 2s, 2 number 1s, he continues rapid fire, before finishing slowly, and a diet soda. Actually we don't have soda, Beast Boy said, carefully neutral, only meat. Okay, then make it a cup of meat juice. Cyborg amended with no hesitation. Please, specifically what variety of meat is it that you serve? Starfire inquired.
Bob says that's a trade secret. Beast Boy intoned, sounding as if he were reading off a script. Are you the only one that works here? Raven asked, uncertainly. Bob says that's a trade secret too, Beast Boy repeated. Is there anything that isn't a trade secret? This come from Naruto, who found the whole restaurant to be suspicious. He could spot multiple code violations in just the front alone, which he only knew about because a group of clones had decided to get back at him for hogging all the ramen. Stupid clones. Bob says that's a trade secret, came the predictable response.
So where is this, Bob, anyway? Robin asked, also suspicious.
In the back. Yeah. I'm glad that you found a way to make some extra money, Beast Boy, but don't you think this place seems a little weird? Dude, they have fries made out of meat. Yes, this place is weird, and I hate it, but I'm not leaving till I earn that moped. Looking at said moped, Naruto couldn't help but wonder what was so great about it.
5 trays, each carrying 1 sandwich each, slid out of the hole in the wall. Picking them up, Beast Boy placed one in front of each of them. Where's the rest of Cyborg's food? Better yet, the rest of us haven't even ordered. He poked the meat, which giggled slightly. It can't be worse than Ma's bugs.
Okay. I can't eat until that thing stops looking at me. Raven stated, pointing towards the really creepy meat statue. It's meat-tastic. Naruto was about to comment, but Kurama beat him to it. Kit, channel some natural energy. Something about this place doesn't feel right. But what about Beast Boy? Not enough for him to notice. I just want to get a reading on the area. There's only a faint trickle of negative emotions, but this place is making my skin crawl. Doing as his partner suggested, Naruto closed his eyes and became totally still, for all of 4 seconds before they snapped open in shock. Okay. I may not know much about Aerth Restaurant, besides what those damn clones read about, but I know that's not right. Looking over at the leader, he was about to inform him when his communicator beeped. Trouble. The UFO is back, Robin announced, prompting him and the team dashed to exit. Robin, wait. Something's not right, Naruto informed him outside.
What do you mean? Robin questioned as donned his bike helmet. There's a whole bunch of large animals in the building behind Meaty Meat. Naruto explained.
How many? The masked teen asked, giving him his full attention. He'd asked Naruto to explain Sage abilities after Beast Boy had mentioned it earlier, so he trusted his friend's assessment.
Over 100. Now, never let it be said that Batman slacked when teaching Robin. Being trained by the world's greatest detective, he quickly put the pieces together. The cows, are you sure? Yeah, he confirmed. Robin thought about this. On one hand, he still didn't know why the aliens wanted the cows. On the other hand, there had been a clear UFO sighting, and it was a direct danger to civilians. Quickly altering his plans, Robin gave his orders as Cyborg and Raven caught up to them. Okay, Naruto, leave us some clones. We can make do with them. Investigate Mega Meaty Meat, but be discreet. I don't want Beast Boy getting fired if they just really care about the freshness of their meat. The rest of us will go take down the UFO. Naruto nodded, then he made a dozen clones for Robin's use. Before he could leave, however, Raven stopped him. Be careful, she said in her usual monotone. Despite that, Naruto could tell she truly meant the words.
Of course. I'm an awesome ninja, remember? He cheerfully replied, bringing a small smile to her face. Don't these places usually have doors? Naruto wondered as he circled the building behind Mega Meaty Meat for the 5th time. Seems awfully suspicious, brat. Maybe you should just bust in. We're trying to be discreet here, he argued. As he continued his search, he received the memories of a clone. So that's what they're using the cows for. Weird. Any further discussion was halted by a loud roar, followed by several crashes.
So much for discretion. Yeah, Naruto agreed, knowing that the sounds came from Beast Boy. He charged a Rasengan in his hand and was about to blow a hole in the wall, before the building rumbled. It fell away to reveal a strange pole-like craft. That's new, he thought. Rasengan, Naruto shouted, driving the rotating sphere of energy into the newly revealed wall. He entered the chamber, only to see a horde of overweight men. Along the walls, all the missing cows were hooked up to some device. And Beast Boy was talking to a jar. Seriously, Naruto thought with a sweat drop. I'm guessing your ship won't leave without you. Beast Boy exclaimed, shifting into a bird and carrying said jar over the men. Naruto sighed before leaping over them towards his friend. Exiting through the same door Beast Boy had, he entered the restaurant and saw the teen mounting the prize moped. Beast Boy, Naruto called, surprising him. What's going on? Oh, so it turns out Mega Meaty Meat is actually space tofu that came here to steal cows and destroy the Earth. So I kidnapped their leader before he could leave, he exclaimed, presenting the jar proudly. Naruto would have commented on just how stupid that sounded, but the horde of men burst through the back. Ah, it's the Bobs, he yelped. He quickly grabbed Naruto, ignoring his, hey, of protest, before driving out the restaurant. Yee-haw! Beast Boy shouted in glee as Naruto barely managed to keep himself from falling off with a quick application of chakra. This is so cool. Foolish human. The most annoying voice Naruto had ever heard sounded from the jar. Looking inside it he saw, that is cube. A cube with a face. Naruto thought in a deadpan. Still, he'd seen weirder. I have created enough Nufu for an army of the Bobs. You will never get away. Your city is doomed. Your planet is doomed. The cube continued to shriek. Beast Boy shrieked as he drove towards an army of the newly identified Bobs. Hi-ya, Tommy. Be a sport and hand over our supreme creator, would ya? One of them asked. Naruto, who was about to jump off and fight their way through, was surprised when Beast Boy immediately sped away from them. Hey, we could have taken them, Naruto shouted over the wind. There's too many of them, he replied, before skidding to a stop before a bridge infested with more Bobs. All we want is the source Andy, they informed them, creepily in sync, and your cows. Not gonna happen, Beast Boy declared, before charging straight at them on the moped. Didn't he just run from a smaller group of them? Insolent human. Your futile charge will end in defeat, the alien cube shouted.
I hope there's a plan here, Naruto commented. You're forgetting we're riding on a Tidwell 3000. Was the confident reply. And it has turbo. He pressed a red button on the handle, activating freaking rockets on the back to fire. Okay. I'm starting to see why he's so obsessed with this thing. As they rushed forward, the bike's front lifted, launching them over the bobs. All three passengers yelled, the boys in excitement and the source in fear. They landed past the bobs, then sped towards Titian's tower. He rode it up the stairs, almost knocking Naruto off, before flying into the main room. He hopped off, prompting Naruto to do the same. The moped skidded to a halt before the couch as the two teens landed in dramatic poses. Behind them, a stadium of people cheered as three judges lifted their signs, each displaying the number 10. Kurama Swede dropped inside the seal. However, a certain white cube decided to end their fun. You will suffer for your impudence, green human. I am the source, feared across 3 galaxies, destroyer of. Its dramatic ranting was cut off as Beast Boy threw him into the fridge. The green teen groaned as he sunk to the ground. That was fun, he heard from the ground. He looked up to see a smiling Naruto. Dude. No it wasn't. Lighten up. It's just a cube of fake meat and some overweight dudes. How hard can this be? They're about to blow up the planet, Beast Boy yelled, causing the smile to fall from his face.
Oh, that's bad. Yeah, he shook off his scarf and helmet. Okay, think Beast Boy think, he told himself as he knocked his skull. Goo, he exclaimed, venting his stress as he messed up his hair. He then dramatically threw open the door, all anxiety gone, and demanded in a commanding voice, I've got questions and you better give me answers. How do I free the cows, stop the bobs, and shut down the Destructotron? Ha 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 ha. The source laughed. Foolish green human, I will never tell, and when my ship fails to launch as planned, it will detonate automatically. Beast Boy's exposed canine glinted ominously. He quickly threw the source on a plate, now out of the jar, as it continued. Submit to my greatness, and I might just spare your pathetic. Its confident monologue abruptly ended as it asked uncertainly, what is this? A fork impaled the table beside it as a maniacal Beast Boy, frothing at the mouth, declared, lunch.
Ooh, I just got chills. Who knew Beast Boy had it in him? He'd probably get along great with Anko, what with her fetish for snakes. That is a horrifying idea. I can only imagine what she could do with access to all those animals. Kurama interjected with a shudder. And I just happen to be in the mood for a nutritious meat-free substitute. He's bluffing, right? Really, yo, you're just trying to scare me, it yelled defiantly. Am I? Say hello to my good friend barbecue sauce. He replied with total confidence as he menacingly lifted a bottle of the sauce. Oh dear Kami, he's not bluffing. Hey, he's not bluffing, he really will eat you. Naruto warned as Beast Boy squirted the barbecue sauce on it. It sputtered, stop, it yelled desperately. The secret is water. Nufu reverts to its normal state in the presence of water. Please don't eat me, it sobbed. That's more like it. Now let's talk cows, he continued, mechanically lifting a jug of soy sauce. Armed with water guns, the duo rode the moped to Mega Meaty Meat, spraying the bobs along the way. Once they arrived, Beast Boy pointed at the Destructotron, seemingly frozen for a second, before saying, maybe this can wait. He tried to walk away, only for Naruto to grab him. What are you doing? We don't know how much time we have left. Dragging the terrified boy behind him, he shoulder slammed through the wall of the bomb, revealing a single on-off lever. Seriously? Naruto asked in disbelief. He walked over to it and grabbed the handle. Eep! Beast Boy yelped as Naruto pulled it, ducking in the corner. When they did not explode, he sighed in relief. Across town, the spaceships that were currently engaged with the Titans, as well as the bobs, popped, reverting back to cubes of Nufu. Can this day get any weirder? Robin questioned, surrounded by cows. As a horde of Naruto clones took care of the cows, Beast Boy explained what happened at the tower to the others. So it turns out that Mega Meaty Meat is really space tofu that came here to steal our cows and destroy the Earth. But I kidnapped the alien leader, then Naruto coughed into his hand, we shut down the Destructotron before the world could explode. He walked over to his shaking vehicle. And I did it all thanks to my awesome new moped. As he finished his declaration, the moped collapsed into parts, causing Beast Boy to gasp in horror. You forgot to mention that you tortured the leader with barbecue sauce. Naruto added. Right, so where is the alien leader? An incredulous Robin asked. Oh, he's in the fridge. The suddenly calm-sounding green teen answered, before snapping back to look at Cyborg. There, sitting at the table, he held an empty plate as he licked barbecue sauce off his fingers. As he finished, he looked up to see everyone's horrified expression.
What? Several loud knocks on her door roused Raven from her research. This better be good, she grumbled. It had been 3 weeks since Slade had marked her, and she wasn't any closer to finding a way to stop Trigon. Naruto had offered to help, and with his shadow clones, she'd been sorely tempted. However, many of her books were too dangerous for anyone but her to read, and most curses would not be fooled by the technique. They were thorough like that.
She opened the door and was pleasantly surprised to see Naruto. "Good morning," she greeted with a small smile. "Hey Raven-chan," he greeted with his usual cheer, before scratching the back of his head.
"Look, I know you're busy the prophesy," he spoke in his own language to avoid being overheard. Even though he knew that the others would accept her, he respected her decision to keep her heritage a secret. Cammy knows how nervous he'd been when his friends found out. If anyone questioned him, he could just say that he hadn't noticed that he was speaking elemental. But you need to take a break. You aren't any good all stressed out. Besides, you've earned it. Okay, she said, knowing he was right even if she didn't like it. I'm assuming you have something in mind.
You know it, he replied in English. It involves our favorite green-skinned friend. Raven raised an eyebrow. And that's supposed to help me relax? Oh, it will. Trust me, he reassured with a fox-like smirk. After explaining his idea, she was smiling too.
Are you going to tell me what we're doing here or not? Beast Boy complained as the trio entered the training room.
You know I'm a sage, right? Naruto, being familiar with the room from all his time spent there, walked towards a fairly open area before sitting down. Yeah, Beast Boy replied cautiously. He did not like the look on the blonde's face.
Well, most of my more powerful techniques need to be used in sage mode. Technically, he could also use them with Kurama's chakra, but so far he'd only gathered 1/10 of his overall reserves, and Naruto was saving up to protect Raven. But I obviously can't use it in battle without putting you at risk. So, I've decided to do something about it.
How? Beast Boy asked, getting more concerned as the conversation progressed. He tried to scoot towards the door, but found his way blocked by Raven. Her smirk didn't inspire much confidence.
By practicing, of course, was the happy reply. I'm going to enter sage mode, and when you space out, Raven's going to smack some sense into you. He looked between the two of them and sighed in defeat. This is going to hurt, isn't it?
Oh yeah. Raven answered. I think we made some good progress. Naruto nodded as the trio entered the main room. We did, didn't we? Foregoing her usual monotone, allowing some satisfaction to seep into her voice. Same time tomorrow? Behind them, a battered Beast Boy groaned, why? Robin looked at them in slight concern. What happened to him?
Training, Raven replied simply. He was training, he asked, surprised that he had done so without being ordered to.
Naruto made eye contact with Raven, his eyes pleading. They seemed to have a silent argument, before apparently reaching an agreement. We're still working on Fetch, but we did get him to stay, she said casually, walking past her stunned leader into the kitchen. You enjoyed that, Naruto claimed, having joined Raven in the kitchen. I don't know what you're talking about, she denied. Come on, you know you did, you hide it well, but I can tell you're a prankster at heart. And it's my job as your friend to bring it to the surface. Raven had an amazing sense of humor, though she usually hid it behind sarcasm. Raven had explained to him how her powers were tied to her emotions, and that if she felt too strongly, they could get out of control. While he hadn't seen any evidence of this, he took her word for it. However, one of the most important lessons he'd learned when training in Kurama's chakra was that you had to embrace all aspects of yourself. As such, he'd been trying to get her to open up more. Before he could say more, Raven held out her hand, seemingly waiting for something. He grumbled as he dug into his ninja pouch, producing a scroll. Worth it, he said as he handed it over. What she doesn't know is that I just got another ramen scroll. That one's basically empty enough. The other one as well, Raven ordered. A now sweating Naruto glanced around rapidly before asking, what other one? That's my ramen scroll. Yes, this is the one you got a week ago. I know you just got a new one. Now hand it over. Knowing he'd lost, he did so. Don't be such a baby, it's only 2 days. Yes. 2 days without the food of the gods. How am I going to survive? The next day the Titans found Robin in his room, packing a bag. Robin, you are leaving us? Starfire questioned. I have to. He answered, not looking around. Dude, you got your butt kicked. It happens. Beast Boy said in an attempt to get him to stay. Happens to some of us more than others, Raven quipped. Anyway, it doesn't mean you have to quit, he continued, shaking off his irritation. Naruto recognized Robin's expression. It wasn't one of defeat, but rather determination. He's not quitting. You're right, I'm not. But my fight with Kataro showed me how much I still have to learn about martial arts, he said, scowling darkly. No problem, I can help you train. I've got a new simulated fight sequence in the gym. Cyborg went through several fighting poses as he spoke. I've already trained with the best, and apparently it wasn't enough. There's only one person who can help me.
Wow, brooding, leaving for power. If he starts ranting about revenge, I'm going to take over and kill him. We are not dealing with another Sasuke.
He's not that bad, Naruto defended uncertainly. You are going after the true master of whom the villain spoke, Starfire guessed. I'm not coming back until I find him. What? Oh come on man, how do you even know this true master is even a good guy? How are you going to find him? Do you even know where you're going? Cyborg questioned dramatically, pointing in Robin's face.
I'm not sure, Robin admitted. Sounds like a plan, Raven commented sarcastically as she sat on the bed.
According to legend, the true master lives in the mountains on the other side of the world, and can be found only by the most serious of students. Beast Boy raised his hand before declaring excitedly, oh, I'm in. When do we leave? What should I pack? Will I need shots? This is going to be so cool. I have to go alone, Robin denied, leaving the room. That guy takes himself way too seriously, Cyborg observed. Naruto was walking down the hall when his prankster sense started tingling. Hoping Raven had somehow converted, he followed it to Robin's room. There, Cyborg stood menacingly over Starfire and Beast Boy, both of whom were wearing Robin's uniform. I can't believe you two would just barge into Robin's room when he's gone. Dress up in his uniform, and pretend to be Robin. He scolded, holding the pose for a second, before pulling a complete 180 and whining, without me. Ha ha ha. Beast Boy laughed, realizing he'd been had. Dude, suit up, he said, giving him a uniform. Oh yes, come Robining with us, Starfire exclaimed in joy, it is most delightful. Mind if I join? They heard above them, drawing a shrill scream of surprise from Beast Boy. Looking up, the Titans saw Naruto standing on the ceiling. Flipping to the floor, he grabbed a uniform and held it up. A bit small, but it'll fit. I wonder if I can get Raven to try? Starfire smiled as she saw an opportunity. Glorious, you wish to do the role-play with friend Raven? She asked, innocently. As Cyborg and Naruto froze to stare at her, the oblivious Beast Boy cried, yes. That would be awesome. No, it can't be, she's so innocent. There's no way she can mean that, Naruto thought, wiping away a small trickle of blood from his nose. Still, I wonder why no, bad thoughts. You are not a pervert. Stupid Ero Sennin, he's still trying to corrupt me. Raven walked in on, an unusual sight to say the least. Her teammates were all dressed in Robin's uniform. Cyborg was making engine noises while rocking on Robin's motorcycle, Starfire was playing with a grappling hook, Beast Boy was on the ground for some reason, and Naruto was doing trick shots with Badarangs. Well, this is just disturbing.
Disturbing yet magnificent. Join us. I never knew wearing a cape was so much fun. Starfire implored as she pranced around Raven. It is wonderful to be Robin. She continued, getting in her face.
Yeah, he has all the best stuff. Cyborg corroborated, waddling over on the R-cycle. Right. Raven replied, unsure. Come on, haven't you ever wondered what it would be like to be Robin? You know you want to try it. Beast Boy encouraged as all four Titans stood before her.
She locked gazes with Naruto. While she couldn't see his eyes through the mask, she just knew they were pleading with her. 4 days, she said, confusing everyone but Naruto.
What, no. Do you want me to join or not? She asked with a raised eyebrow. Later, the 5 Robin-dressed Titans were lounging around the table in the main room. Would you like another slice of the cheese, Robin? Starfire asked as she cut a slice with a Batarang. Thanks, Robin. Beast Boy replied, grabbing the slice then passing the box off to Cyborg using a staff. Got room for another one, Robin?
Don't mind if I do, Robin. He replied before stuffing the whole pizza, sans the missing slice, in his mouth.
This is actually pretty good, Robin. Raven, now dressed in Robin's uniform, commented as she ate some ramen from a cup, much to the distress of a crying Naruto. Robin, can I have some, please? He pleaded with his hands clasped together.
No, she quipped, prompting a fresh wave of tears. You know Robins, I have to admit. The mask makes me feel cool, Raven said with a blush, not noticing the figure behind her. Upon noticing the horrified expressions of her teammates, she looked over her shoulder and did a double take. She quickly joined the others on their couch, dragging the suddenly dry-faced Naruto behind her.
Pizza. Sweet. Robin jumped onto the couch and grabbed a slice. You know, Robin's. The mask makes me feel cool, too. He happily ate his pizza as the others fell backwards, crashing to the floor. It has been a good day, he decided. Sure, he'd lost his ramen for 4 days. 5 if you counted yesterday. But he'd gotten Raven to loosen up some. She'd needed it. As he lay in his bed, Naruto pictured her smile. Definitely worth it. Mega sonic sound. Ultra-plasmic display. Phase shield amp. And to top it all off, a brand new, hot off the shelf, impossible to find anywhere Game Station XL. As Cyborg introduced each increasingly oversized device, Beast Boy's eyes grew larger and larger, until Cyborg pulled the giant, impossibly bright console from its tiny box. Beast Boy, unable to contain himself any longer, released tears of joy. It's beautiful. I'm glad you're upgrading ops, Cyborg, but is any of this actually going to help us fight crime? Robin asked, shielding himself from the glare with his cape. Sure? He responded hesitantly, still holding the glowing box. Why is it so bright? Better yet, how? It's not even plugged in. Naruto asked. He may still be new to much of the technology in this world, but even back in the elemental nations, they'd had the basics. That knowledge had grown since his arrival, though there was still a fair ways to go. I stopped questioning things like this a long time ago. Raven answered in resignation. Over in the kitchen, Starfire examined a tall white box on the counter. And for what purpose is this crime-fighting device? She poked it, accidentally setting the thing off. Eek, she yelped as a barrel extended from the top. It launched several waffles, some butter, and a fork into the air as it dispensed a plate and orange juice to the side. The waffles landed on the plate before being covered in butter and impaled by the fork. Cyborg posed proudly, before Raven held up one of the pastries. Evil beware, we have waffles. She deadpanned. I like this stuff as much as the next guy, but don't you think it's a little big? Robin asked. Come on, guys, this is the future. If we don't keep up, it'll just leave us behind. Besides, don't you want to hear the new equalizer? He asked, enticing 3 of them while Naruto stood to the side with Raven. Before Cyborg could press the button on the wall-sized device, he was struck by lightning before vanishing in a puff of smoke. The other Titans looked at where he'd disappeared, wide-eyed, and Starfire mechanically chewed her waffle. Okay, before anybody says anything, that was totally not my fault. Finally, Raven said in relief. What did you find? Naruto commented from his position sitting on the bed, sealing away his empty ramen cup. After he had commented on the similarities between Cyborg's disappearance and his summoning jutsu, Robin asked Raven to try to find the spell, if that's what it was, that had taken their friend. Having no better way to help, Naruto had decided to keep Raven company while she researched in her room, unaware of the other's shock. They'd been there for most of the day. Since they had both been hungry and it had already been 3 days, she'd allowed him to make them some ramen. Provided, of course, that he not spill a single drop. When teasing him with it the other day, Raven had found she quite liked the noodles. Of course, it wasn't the food of the gods, as her friend and secret crush so eloquently put it, but it was pretty good. You were right, it was a summoning, but it didn't take him to a different dimension. She showed him the illustration on the book. It sent him back in time. Are you sure this will work? Robin asked. The 5 of them were currently standing back in the ops room. Using a mixture of science and magic, they'd managed to lock onto Cyborg's sonic cannon. Apparently, he'd been summoned from 5,000 years ago. It should. She replied simply, before her eyes lit up with power. Aerth Metrion Zinthos. She shouted as her magic coalesced in the form of a large raven around her as a swirling vortex formed. Her soul self extended its claw through the portal, before it retracted, pulling a figure through the ports. I think it worked. Raven clarified uncertainly as they crowded around the person. Cyborg? Robin questioned. Cyborg, clad in some sort of stone armor, rushed the closing vortex. Sarasim, he cried, just missing it before it vanished. No, send me back. Cyborg, it is us. Your friends. You are home, Starfire told him. The village. It's under attack. He grabbed Raven by her shoulders. They need me, he cried desperately. It was kind of a one-way deal. An uncomfortable Raven awkwardly informed him. Beast Boy was about to speak before Naruto quickly clapped his hand over his mouth. He didn't know what the changeling was about to say, but he was sure that it wouldn't help. Judging from his appearance and what he'd said, it was clear that they'd pulled him from the middle of a battle of some sort, and that he'd been with someone he cared about. I made a promise. They were counting on me. A depressed Cyborg said, causing Naruto to flinch. Cyborg, I'm sorry, we had no idea, Robin apologized. I didn't even get to say goodbye, he said, walking away. In his room, a now armorless cyborg flexed his hand. Welcome to the future, he said in resignation. As he placed his sword on a stand in front of his armor, Naruto opened the door. It's hard, isn't it? Not knowing, he said, walking towards the large man. You constantly wonder what happened, hoping that those you left are okay. Yeah, came the dull reply. A tear fell from his eye. We were being overrun. Without me, I don't know if they could survive. Sarasim. Naruto placed a hand on his shoulder, cutting him off. You can't do this. You can't wonder what could have been. You have to have faith that your friends pulled through. He paused, before continuing. When I told you that I was sent while fighting a traitor, that was only part of the story. Cyborg looked at him then, giving him his attention. Naruto had told them some about his past, but he usually avoided the exact circumstances of his arrival. Before that, we were fighting a war against a madman. A lot of stuff happened, and I lost a good friend. We eventually won, but everyone except me and my team were trapped in an eternal dream world. We needed Sasuke's help to free them, but he betrayed us instead. I didn't get any sleep my first night here. I kept wondering what happened, and if everyone was okay. It was eating me up inside. Cyborg was struck by the similarities in their situations. What did you do? You seem fine now, he asked. I was lucky. The next day I was able to contact home. Apparently Sasuke had turned a new leaf after I left and freed everyone, but before that, my friend helped me. Friend? Kurama. Cyborg vaguely remembered something about a fox spirit. He's been sealed inside me since birth. He kept me grounded, and reminded me that I wasn't alone. Naruto locked gazes with him. You're not alone either, Cyborg. A moment passed, before he nodded. Thanks, no problem. As he said this, the door opened again, revealing Raven. She nodded at Naruto, who sighed in relief, before she turned to Cyborg. I have something to show you, she said. She placed a book on the table and turned to a specific page. Sarasim, he breathed in surprise. She did it. They won. He exclaimed as he studied the picture of a female warrior standing victoriously over a large green humanoid. Raven turned to a different page. Apparently, they had help. That's you, isn't it? She questioned, pointing to a man. He nodded. Interesting, you're the only one without armor. Yeah, didn't need it. He sat down to look through the book as the others left to give him privacy. She didn't want to be here. She really didn't, but she had to do this. She owed it to him. So, she knocked on the door. It took a moment before Naruto opened it, rubbing his eyes. Hey Raven-chan, what's up? He asked, yawning. Can I come in? She asked. I need to talk to you, it's important. He got a good look at her before frowning. Of course. He moved to the side, all tiredness gone. Whatever had Raven here at 1 in the morning had clearly upset her. Most wouldn't notice, but he'd spent enough time around her that he'd recognized the slight tensing in her shoulders, as well as the imperceptible strain on her face. He sat on the bed and motioned for her to join him, which she did. When I was looking for the spell that took Cyborg, I found something. It's complicated, and it would be a one-way ticket, but she took a deep breath before looking at him in the eyes. I can send you home. He could go home, he could see his friends, he could become Hokage. He grinned. This was great, he could leave. His smile slowly fell. He'd never be able to come back. He could never sleep in the tower, or hang out with the Titans. I could never see Raven again. It was this last thought that really bothered him. He liked the other Titans, he really did. They were his friends. But his dream, his village, and his other friends were back in the elemental nations. But, could he really leave Raven? It wasn't just that he felt he had to help her with Trigon, though that was a small part of it. It was her. It was everything about her. Her smile, which she'd begun to show more. Her laugh, which sounded so beautiful. Their teasing, meditating together, spending time together, everything. He couldn't leave her. She inspired feelings in him that he'd never felt before. It was like all the pain he'd been through, all his suffering, just faded into a distant memory, only to be replaced by a feeling of bliss. His feelings for Sakura hadn't even come close to what he felt for the girl sitting next to him. At this thought, he made his decision. As he came out of his reverie, Naruto realized Raven had been talking. Take a few days to prepare the spell, and you'll need to send a beacon with the toads, but... Raven. He interrupted her. I'm not going. What? She asked, surprised. I'm staying here, with you, he added in his head. Raven turned away. If this is about Trigon, then... This is not about him. Naruto denied. Her head whipped around and she snapped at him. Then why? All the stress she'd been bottling up, what with Cyborg and Trigon and now this, came bursting out. You have friends there, you have a surrogate mother. You can be Hokage. You're a hero there, it'll be easy to make the family you've always wanted. So why are you staying here? A lifetime spent under the prophecy had made her believe that she was destined to be alone. Her friends had been slowly helping her through that, but after Valure, she'd convinced herself that she'd never be wanted romantically. It's why she'd never acted on her feelings for the whiskered blonde, and it was why she was totally blindsided by what Naruto said next. Because you're here. What? I don't know how to explain it. He explained, frustrated. When I'm with you I'm happy. I feel more at peace than I ever have before. And the thought of leaving you, it physically hurts. I just can't. He gazed into her eyes, talking with such emotion that it was a wonder he couldn't hear her heartbeat. Anyone who knew him would be shocked. The blonde idiot who always spoke his mind, that could turn enemies into friends with a speech, was struggling to say a few words. Luckily for him, Raven had decided that she didn't need words as she pulled Naruto into a kiss. Naruto melted into the kiss. It was clumsy and unpracticed, but to them, it didn't matter. Raven, her arms around Naruto's neck, was surprised when she felt him wrap his arm around her waist to pull her closer. Now practically in his lap, Raven reveled in his muscled physique. He wasn't bulky or overwhelming, but he was firm, without an ounce of fat on his body. She felt secure, safe, for the first time in forever, wrapped in his embrace. She poured all her emotion into the kiss, all the love, fear, and hope that she'd felt but bottled up for the past month. For once, she allowed herself to feel full force, without worrying about the consequences. Surprisingly, nothing blew up. She didn't question it though, instead she deepened the kiss. After a minute of heated kissing, they reluctantly separated to breath. In his eyes, she could see her own emotions reflected back at her. I love you. She had never thought she would say those words, to anyone. Yet, as she spoke them now, she found that she'd never uttered a more true statement. Naruto teared up a little. Having grown up alone and hated, he could count his remaining hand the number of times he'd heard those words on. As far as he knew, aside from Sakura's false confession, none of them had been meant in a romantic sense. Yet, here was this beautiful woman, who by now knew him better than anyone still alive, confessing her love to him. I love you too, he replied as a tear of joy slid down his face. Naruto sat, writing in a scroll. After Raven had eventually gone back to her room, he felt a new resolve fill him. Trigon would not get her. He refused to allow it. The problem was that even with his around-the-clock research, he still hadn't found a way to stop him. He'd been about to wake Kurama up from the seal, when the obvious occurred to him. Stupid. Trigon was a demon of immense power, just like his friend. He didn't need to find a way to defeat him, he already had one. He awkwardly rolled up the scroll with his left hand. He didn't sleep with his henge, and after Raven had arrived, he hadn't wanted to put it on. While the temporary hand was great for doing things, he couldn't feel with it. And with Raven, that was exactly what he'd wanted to do. While it was still a bit difficult to write with his left hand, he'd managed. Sure, he could have just hanged a new one after Raven left, but he wanted experience writing with his own limb. If he was going to do this, it was better if he wasn't reliant on such a fragile construct. He bit his thumb and executed a few rapid one-handed seals before he slammed his palm on the ground. I need you to get this to Tsunade. It's important. Even though Kakashi had recently become Hokage, something he'd had mixed feeling over, he didn't trust the man for a quick response. Tsunade, at least, wouldn't take several days. At this time of night? Are you trying to get me killed? Apparently, this part of Earth conveniently shared the same day-night cycle. Just tell her that I'll get her some of Gamabunta's special sake. The toad whistled appreciatively. How ya? Gonna manage that. Gamabunta had a stash of the most potent sake Naruto had ever seen, and between Jiraiya and Tsunade, he'd seen a lot. The chief toad made it himself as a sort of hobby, well, that and drinking it. Unfortunately, he was extremely protective of the stuff. He had no problem sharing a drink, but he rarely let anyone take a bottle with them. Not even his sons knew where he kept it all. I'm sure I'll think of something. If you're sure, the toad said before he disappeared in a puff of smoke. Satisfied, Naruto went back to bed. Raven walked onto the roof with a smile. They'd held each other for a little over an hour last night. She hadn't wanted to leave, but she was worried that the others would get the wrong idea. When she saw him, her smile grew. Good morning, Naruto. He looked up at her with his toad-like eyes. Morning, Ravenheim. What does that mean? She asked, sitting down. Usually, she'd meditate across from him, but this time she sat right next to him, almost touching shoulders. Oh, Naruto responded as he remembered that suffixes apparently didn't translate for her. It means princess. Raven blushed. But I'm not a princess. To me you are, Naruto said sincerely. Raven took a quickly glanced around to make sure that they were alone before she leaned over and kissed his cheek. Thank you. She sounded almost shy, as she was still unfamiliar with displaying her emotions. For what? Naruto asked, his head tilted in confusion. Raven smiled. For being you. Naruto sat peacefully, immersed in the calming energy of nature, as had become normal. Thoughts of Raven dominated his mind. Last night had been amazing. Raven loved him. She loved him. It was exhilarating to love someone and have them return the feeling. He had to focus though. She was in danger. He'd already taken the first steps by sending his request to Tsunade. But what if she couldn't find them? What if he couldn't do it? What if he failed her? What if he forced himself to take a calming breath? Something wasn't right. It felt like when Kurama was still fighting him, like another's emotions were influencing his own. But it wasn't anger this time, it was fear. The source was outside himself, but it seemed familiar. It kind of reminded him of Raven. He exclaimed as his eyes shot open. He quickly turned to face her and saw that she was shaking. Sweat shone on her meditating body as her mind struggled with something. Worst of all, Slade's mark glowed brightly around her gemstone. Kit. He grabbed her shoulder, intent to snap her out of it, before his vision shifted. Raven looked down upon the mark of Scath while surrounded by the ruins of the city. Tick-tock Raven. Time is running out. Slade's voice echoed. I'm not afraid of you, she defiantly claimed. Silly girl, Slade said as he appeared behind her. I'm not the one to be afraid of. She faced him to find him stalking towards her. Slade forced her to back up towards the edge of the roof. You know that, he added, disappearing in a flash of lightning. She looked around in concealed panic as fire rained from the sky. What you have concealed you shall become, Trigon's booming voice demanded. Two large fireballs hurtled towards her, however, she was able to erect a barrier just before impact. It's a lie. Raven defied as the fire burned around her. I won't let this happen, I'll find a way. A menacing shadow walked through the fire towards her. Your optimism is really adorable. Before Slade could continue his speech, a cheerful voice sounded from behind Raven. I know, it's one of her best qualities. Naruto. Raven exclaimed in shock. So, your name is Naruto. I must say, I'm quite impressed that you're here. It takes a lot of skill to subvert the will of Trigon. Hey, Naruto scratched the back of his head. It was kind of an accident, ya know. If Slade had been a lesser man, he would have face-faulted. Even still, he was sorely tempted. Insolent mortal. How dare you interfere? Naruto turned to the still-stunned Raven. Was that Trigon? He asked, to which he received a nod in return. Oi, Trigon. He shouted to the sky. I have a bone to pick with you. And just what might that be? He asked, slightly amused by the tiny human. How dare you treat Raven like this, you bastard, you have no right. I am her father, she exists only because I allow it. Her sole purpose is to serve me. That's a load of crap and you know it. A father is supposed to love their kids, to care for them. Yet here you are, trying to make her kill herself for you. Until you start acting the part, you have no right to call yourself her father. What you say matters not, mortal. Her destiny shall be fulfilled. The portal must be opened. Two pairs of eyes shot open, before Raven launched herself into Naruto. He pulled her close with his hanged arm while stroking her hair comfortingly with his real one. Kit. Where were you? I was just having a chat with Trigon, he replied. Of course you did. Honestly, why was he even surprised at this point? And how did that go? He asked in resignation. Naruto looked at the crying Raven in his arms. He's a bastard. He mentally growled. If I ever see him, I'm gonna have to beat some sense into him. Of course you are. Back in the real world only a few seconds had passed. It's okay, Ravenheim. He's gone. Naruto said softly. Naruto, I'm afraid. Raven was one of the strongest people he knew, and to see her like this, Naruto felt his heart break. I know, but he won't get you. He lifted her chin so she would look at him. We'll stop him, together. After Raven had calmed down, the two of them had headed to her room to do some research. How much time do we have? Naruto asked as they looked at a book. Not long. The mark's a warning, it means he's coming. Naruto could tell that she was working hard to keep her composure. He could practically feel her turmoil. Okay, so we just need to be ready for when he does. He said optimistically, before turning somber. Raven, he said gently. I think we should tell the others. What? No. They can't get involved. They already are. Naruto spoke softly as ever. They're your friends, and they will always protect you. He placed a hand on her shoulder. They won't leave you. It's okay to be scared, but have faith in them. We'll need their help to get through this. I don't know. She answered, conflicted. That's all right. I won't make you do anything. I'll support you no matter what you decide. He smiled comfortingly. I'll always be there for you. That's a promise of a lifetime. Encouraged by his support, Raven made her decision. You're right. She pulled so she could see his face. There's something I need to try first. After that, I'll tell them. She walked around her room, gathering supplies. We're going to Aerth. They sat facing each other inside a circle of powder and candles. You don't have to come with me. Do you want me to come? Well, yes, but then I'm coming. I promised, didn't I? He grinned. She had to smile in response. It felt nice to be loved. Place your hand on the cover and get ready. Upon his doing so, she began to chant. Aerth Metrion Zinthos. Karazon Rakashas Endir. Vasurix Endrian Aerth. Aerth, Aerth. As she chanted, a field of energy formed from the powder circle, stretching to the roof, where it formed a portal. Upon her final words, the duo was sucked into the portal. Naruto looked around in awe at the tunnel of light flying past them. That awe was ruined, however, as several apparitions screeched past them. Tell me those weren't ghosts, Naruto pleaded. Those weren't ghosts. Raven obliged, making no effort to hide the fact that she was lying. Suddenly, they felt a heat from the rear, and looked back to see a wall of fire headed towards them. Oh, that's not good, Naruto said. You think? Raven asked sarcastically. She grabbed his hand and flew faster, trying to outpace the flames. Unfortunately, she wasn't fast enough as they began to envelope them. Hold on, she called, summoning her soul self to protect them. Naruto watched from within as the flames failed to penetrate the black energy. Kind of reminds me of our transformation Kurama. He thought it Lily as the ethereal bird lashed out. In several swift strikes, it dispelled the fire before vanishing. They flew further until their path was blocked by a large purple runic barrier. Undeterred, Raven charged forward, still dragging Naruto. As she strained against the barrier, her gem glowed brightly. Let us in, she shouted as she breached the wards. In a flash of light, they were ejected from the spell, landing at the edge of a cliff. Ow! Naruto said as he looked up from the ground. Wow! Unable to say anything else, he just gazed at the sprawling metropolis in front of him. Welcome, Naruto, to Aerth. My home. Hello, Raven called as she walked down the empty streets. Raven? Is it usually so quiet? Naruto asked. So far, they had yet to see a single soul. Honestly, it was a little creepy. No, it's not like I was expecting a parade, but she trailed off as she caught sight of a dove flying overhead. Follow me, she said as they went after the bird. It led them through the streets until it flew to the top of a large structure with a glowing depiction of a dove. There, it landed on a figure clad in a white robe. Arella! Raven called as she flew, carrying Naruto by the hand, to meet her. The woman attempted to enter the building before she arrived, but to no avail. Wait, I've come back. She stopped upon hearing Raven's words. Mother, please, help me. That's her mother, then why was she avoiding us? I don't know, Kit. Something doesn't seem right. You always had a home here, my child. Erla finally turned to look at her daughter. But help we could not give. The prophesy, it's happening. You have to tell me how to stop it. She pleaded, holding the book out to her mother. Nothing could be done. The promise of your birth was absolute. Unable to stand by, Naruto spoke. You're wrong. As long as you don't give up, there's always something that you can do. Young sage, she said, addressing the surprised Naruto. Surely as a child of prophesy you know that fate is absolute. This elicited a laugh from him. That's exactly why I know that you're wrong. Everything I accomplished, all my victories, were not because of some prophesy. Destiny did not help me. I had to give my own sweat, blood, and tears every step of the way. I did it all because I never gave up. Sure, I fulfilled the toad's prophesy, but I've defied fate more times than I can count. They both stared at him in surprise, and in Raven's case, hope. As a failure, I should never have defeated Neji, but I did. As dead last, I shouldn't have been able to survive as a ninja, much less defeat a goddess. I have defied Priestess Shien's vision of my death. I befriended Kurama, the Kyuubi no Kitsune, and the other Biju after centuries of hatred. And most of all, as a Jinchuriki, I was destined to live my life alone. But back home, I had the entire elemental nations fight on my side. I had a whole village full of friends, and here, he looked at Raven with immeasurable adoration. Here, I found something that should have been impossible. I found love. He turned back to Arella with determination burning in his eyes. And I'll be damned if I let fate take that away from me, so don't tell me that nothing can be done. As Raven listened in wonder, Arella remained resigned. Your words are inspiring, but futile. It is too late for Earth, just as it was too late for Aerth. She vanished, as did the city. In its place was a fiery wasteland. No, Raven breathed in horror as Trigon's sinister laugh echoed around them. As they stared at the four glowing eyes hovering above them, they were enveloped in a flash of light. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Naruto comforted Raven as she cried into his chest, both of them on their knees. Her home, her people, her mother, they were all gone. I can't, Raven got out through her sobs. I can't stop him. She locked her tearful gaze on him. I'm not like you. I'm not strong enough to defy fate. What are you talking about? You do it every day. What? She asked, confused. You were born for a purpose, to destroy the world. You were supposed to be a force for evil, right? She nodded, looking depressed. And yet, here you are. Here, in this tower full of heroes. Here, where you spend your time risking your life to help people. You were supposed to be evil, but you are one of the best people I have ever met. He smiled. Not his usual wide grin, but a smaller smile that somehow conveyed even more. If that isn't defying fate, then I don't know what is. You are strong enough, and you aren't alone. We will stop him. For the first time, Raven believed. She believed that they had a chance. Thank you. She dried her tears and stood up. Let's. Before she could finish, there was a knock at the door. Any luck finding the symbol? Robin's slightly muffled voice asked. Raven took a deep breath. Yes, she said resolutely as Naruto looked on with pride. As Naruto, Robin, and Raven entered Ops, Starfire exclaimed, friends. It is most fortunate that you have arrived. Cyborg was correct. The symbol is not of the Earth. What I have discovered is most disturbing. The whole team gathered around a printout of the mark on the table. She pulled a pointer rod from somewhere and gestured at a spot on the page. Please, give your attention to this quadrant. In the folklore of the Zargate nomads, markings such as these were used as a prelude to the Golding. As she spoke, Naruto grew more and more confused. Actually, Beast Boy tried to interrupt Starfire, only to be ignored. A savage ritual that, she stopped as Raven peeled off the part she'd indicated. She examined it before turning to a sheepish Beast Boy. Tofu? She asked with a raised eyebrow. Hey, it's tofu calzone. My bad. Raven tossed it to him, hitting him in the face. Oh, never mind then. Starfire said dejectedly. It doesn't matter. Raven, you said you knew what it was? Robin asked. Yes. She looked over at Naruto, who gave her a nod of encouragement. This interaction did not go unnoticed by Robin. It's the mark of Scath. He was worshipped by an ancient order who... She was interrupted as the alarm sounded. They turned to look at the large screen to see Slade's trademark, S, prominently on display. Slade. Robin growled. In an abandoned part of the city, Slade blew up several buildings with blasts of fire. I do love my job, he said as he charged another blast in his hand. Before he could fire, a beam of sonic power destroyed it. Vandalism? I'd say you hit an all-new low, Slade. Robin commented. Looking up, Slade saw the boy Wonder and his team, as well as the blonde nuisance. The Teen Titans, and I see you brought Raven's little guard dog. Hey, Naruto gave a short laugh. She doesn't need me to protect her, trust me. Regardless, as you can see, I'm right in the middle of something. He gestured to the surrounding rubble. I'll deal with you in a few minutes. No, we'll deal with you now. Robin declared. You can't always get what you want, Robin. Slade brought his reignited hands together and slammed them into the ground, creating a flaming shockwave that the team managed to avoid. Titans. Split up and take him down. Robin commanded as Slade leapt from building to building, leaving a trail of destruction in his wake. Despite his confidence in her, Naruto joined Raven in her pursuit, with her flying as he ran along the sides of buildings. Doesn't Slade know that this whole block is slated for demolition? He heard Cyborg comment over the comms. Since when does Slade need an excuse to wreck stuff? Beast Boy commented. Robin suddenly intercepted Slade mid-jump, kicking him into a stack of barrels. Why did you come back? Did you get these powers from Scath? What does he want? Robin demanded. Oh, so the girl told you about him. I wonder if she told you who he really is? Slade questioned as he slowly walked towards Robin. Seeing his expression, he tisked in disappointment. No, pity. Well, she was going to, but you kind of interrupted our meeting, Naruto said casually as he landed next to Robin. How nice of you to join us. I'm actually glad you're here, Naruto. You make things so much more interesting. As Robin pondered how Slade knew his friend's name, Naruto spread his arms. Yeah. Well, I wouldn't want to keep you waiting then. Before Slade could ask what he meant, he heard a cry of Rasengan, and felt a horrible grinding sensation in his back. The attack exploded, propelling him past Robin into a wall. How's that for interesting? Naruto yelled as his clone popped. You're quite full of surprises, aren't you? Slade commented as he stood up. He spread his arms and created a large fireball. Well, so am I. He launched the flaming orb, only for it to be stopped by a wall of black energy. What do you want? Raven asked as her barrier faded. Only what any messenger wants, Raven. For their message to be heard, he said ominously. It's time your friends learned the truth. And if you don't tell them, I will. As Naruto already said, I was already planning to. This time, Raven was the one advancing towards him. She knew he wouldn't hurt her. After all, she was Trigon's precious gem. Raven could finally get him back for all the torment he'd put her through. And since she couldn't kill him, there was no reason for her to hold back. Still, while you're here, you can deliver a message for me. The other Titans arrived to see her envelope Slade with her powers. She thrust her hands forward and slammed him into a building, before twisting and hurling him into another. Finally, she lifted him high and brought him crashing to the ground, creating a small crater. Her bout of violence had dislodged her hood and parted her cloak, revealing the glowing runes as she levitated towards her battered foe. You tell him that he'll have to destroy me before I help him. Slade pulled himself up to a knee. You can tell him yourself. The hour is near. Neither you nor your crippled pet can stop it. Raven saw red at the jibe and pulled the nearby wall down on top of him. She then freed him, only to bash him against every available surface. She held him midair and closed her extended hand, causing all the rubble to crash into him. Finally, Raven's soul self manifested around her, and she yelled as she sent it racing towards him. Slade's eye barely had time to widen in surprise before it collided with him. The resulting explosion covered the area in dust, obscuring the spectator's vision for a few moments. Is it wrong for me to think that was hot? Naruto asked Kurama.
No, Kit, no it is not, just checking. I'm not afraid of you anymore, Raven declared as the dust settled to reveal Slade, his head bent at an unnatural angle. Slade snapped his bones back into place. You might not fear me, but look who's afraid of you, he said as he phased into the ground. She turned to see her friends' shocked expressions. She turned away, not wanting to face their fear, when she heard Naruto's voice. Awesome. The ancient order that worshipped him used the name, Scath, to protect the true identity of their master. We know him as Trigon, Raven explained back in Ops.
Cyborg recoiled in shock. Are you serious? That's who we're up against? Oh, man. His cruelty is legendary, even on my world, Starfire added. So, what makes you go all glowy in the dark? Beast Boy asked.
Raven felt Naruto place a comforting hand on her shoulder. Much to the surprise of the others, she gave him a small smile in thanks before answering. It's a warning. It means Trigon is coming, and the way he gets here is through me. She took a deep breath. There's a prophecy. The gem was born of evil's fire. The gem shall be his portal. He comes to claim. He comes to sire. The end of all things mortal. The others shuddered. I'm not just a person. I'm the gem, his portal. But Raven, why you? Robin asked. Because, Trigon, is my father, she said as she stood up. But I have no intention of letting him through. Naruto coughed, catching her attention. She smiled again. Sorry, we will stop him. I just have one question, Cyborg said as we went over to them. How can we help? No, Raven cried as she jolted awake. It took her a few minutes to realize she was sitting up in her bed, before she fell back on her pillow groaning. Even with everyone's support, her remaining doubts and insecurities plagued her mind. She glanced at her clock before groaning again. After hours of lying awake, made worse by her inability to meditate, she'd only managed a paltry half-hour of sleep. It had been much the same after Slade first returned on her 16th birthday, but at least she'd still been able to meditate. Raven was about to resign herself to a sleepless night when an idea struck her. Currently, Naruto was pacing his room. He'd known about Trigon for over 2 weeks now, but today had driven home just how much danger Raven was in. Sure, as a ninja, his friends were constantly in danger, but this was Raven. He'd never cared about anyone this strongly. Despite only fully realizing his feelings the night before, he couldn't imagine life without her. After dreaming of her death for the 3rd time, he'd stopped trying to sleep. While he wanted nothing more than to go check on Raven, he refused to interrupt her rest. He suddenly stopped pacing as, for the 2nd time in as many nights, he heard someone knocking. An illogical surge of relief filled him when saw who it was. Raven watched as several intense emotions flashed across Naruto's face before he pulled her into a tight hug. She only hesitated a moment out of surprise, then returned it full force. Apparently, she wasn't the only one in need of comfort tonight. He pulled back after a minute. Sorry, he apologized. Don't be, she studied him. Nightmares. He nodded. Raven knew he had them on occasion, but this seemed more than that. Do you want to talk about it? He moved aside to allow into his room. As the door closed, he sat heavily on his bed. While he didn't want to worry Raven, he knew he couldn't lie to her. When he felt her settle next to him, he spoke. I couldn't save you. I tried everything, but you still died. Tears welled in his eyes as he locked gazes with her. I can't lose you. This time, Raven initiated the hug, wrapping her arms around him. You won't, she said with a new conviction. She realized he was just as scared as she was, and, in some odd way, that comforted her. He was just as scared as she was, if for different reasons. He wasn't fearless, but he was still willing to take on Trigon, an all-powerful demon, for her. She came here for comfort, only to be the one comforting him. And she was all right with that. I'm not going anywhere. We're going to stop him together, remember? Thanks, Ravenheim. That really helps. He wiped away his tears, before realizing that she was the one that sought him out. I'm sorry. You came here, and I just dumped all this on you. She frowned. Naruto, you've helped me so much. Never think that you shouldn't talk to me about stuff like this. Trust me, you can't bottle all this up. Quote. But, no, she needed him to understand this. I'm here for you, just as much as you're here for me. He smiled, still wrapped in her embrace. All right. They just sat there for a bit, enjoying the other's presence, before he asked, why did you come here? I couldn't sleep either, Raven admitted. Do you want to talk about it? No, just being here helps. It was true. Whenever she was with him, she felt safe, secure. She felt loved, and she really didn't want it to end. Can I sleep here? She asked. I don't want to leave. Of course, Naruto replied, like it was the simplest thing in the world. Deep inside a volcanic cavern, Slade bowed towards the demonic eyes of Trigon. I have failed. The portal refuses to accept her fate. She draws strength from the boy. He has become an annoyance. His presence protects her mind as she slumbers, though I know not how. He must be eliminated. What of his claims to the mother's remnant? He questioned. If true, then he's much more than an annoyance. I suspect he spoke of a false deity. No mere sage can defeat a goddess. Even if true, he still poses no threat to me. Go dispose of him. Do not fail me a second time. Raven frowned in irritation as light from the window landed on her face. She'd just had the best sleep since, well, forever, and she didn't want to wake up. She pulled her warm pillow closer and smiled as it tightened its hold on her. Wait, she opened her eyes in confusion to see a shock of blonde hair. She almost recoiled until she saw who it belonged to. As memories of the previous night filtered into her sleep-addled mind, she sighed in contentment. Snuggling deeper into Naruto's chest, her smile grew as she drifted back to sleep. Naruto stirred, oddly reluctant to wake. Usually he was up at the crack of dawn, eager to meet Raven for their morning meditation. His eyes snapped open and he immediately noticed that the sun was already up. Shit, he thought as he sat up. Or, he would have, but someone was holding him down. 5 more minutes. Hearing the groan, he looked down and smiled fondly at Raven's sleeping form. Even while sleeping, she was still the most gorgeous woman he had ever seen. He lay there, content to watch her as she slept. Eventually though, Raven stirred. Good morning, Haim, Naruto greeted as she awoke. Morning, she replied groggily. How'd you sleep? Good, better than I have in a long time. Her content expression seemed to amplify her natural beauty, making it hard for him to breathe. How about you? Any nightmares? None at all. Cammy, he wished they could do this every night. Can I come back tonight? She asked, echoing his desires. Always. He planted a gentle kiss on her forehead, causing her flush in a strange mixture of pleasure and embarrassment. As they exited Naruto's bedroom, hand in hand, he thought he saw a flash of movement down the hall. He looked closer, before deciding that it was nothing. Since all the Titans slept in their uniform in case of emergencies, aside from their shoes, there was no need for Raven to go back to her room. Instead, they just headed straight for the main room hand. As they neared Ops, they locked gazes for a moment before moving respectable distance from each other. They weren't trying to hide their relationship per se, but they kind of wanted to be able to enjoy it without the others hounding them about it. For some reason, Naruto felt that it would be a bad idea to tell Starfire. Look who finally decided to show up. Cyborg boomed from the kitchen. He stood behind the counter in a chef's hat and apron. What'll you have? We have eggs, bacon, waffles, bacon, sausage, and more bacon. As he spoke, multiple hands seemed to materialize out of midair to point at each dish. By this point, Naruto was somewhat used to the Titan's strange variations of the sunset genjutsu. It could actually be fairly entertaining sometimes. Hit me up with some bacon, Naruto requested, getting a heaping plate from the large man. I'm good, Raven said, a teapot appearing in a burst of black energy on one of the empty stoves. Robin and Beast Boy watched in fascination as Naruto ate plate after plate of food. Where does he put it all? Robin whispered. I don't know, he eats almost as much as Sai. Beast Boy whispered back. Friend Raven, I have acquired the medication for you, Starfire exclaimed as she flew up to Raven. In her hand, she held out 2 small pills. Why are you giving me painkillers? Raven asked with a quirked eyebrow. You are experiencing soreness, yes. I have read that it's quite common after your first time engaging in sexual intercourse. Raven's whole body flushed a beet red as several jaws hit the ground. For several seconds, the only sound in the room came from Naruto savagely beating his chest in an attempt to dislodge the food he was choking on. Well, there was also Kurama's uncontrollable laughter, but only Naruto could hear that. Excuse me, Raven sputtered. Surely, she'd heard her wrong. Oh, of course you are excused. I merely stated that the medication was to help with your after-sex soreness. Tell me, was it most pleasurable? She, innocently, asked with a peculiar giggle. As Naruto was still suffocating, and none of the others had ever heard it before, Kurama was the only one to recognize the laugh. By the sage, she is a pervert, he thought as his laughter grew. That's hilarious. Snapping out of his stupor, Cyborg slid over. Hold up, Cyborg demanded. You're telling me that Raven, our Raven, had sex? Yes, Starfire confirmed before Raven could deny it. Who? Cyborg asked in a dangerous tone. Normally he wouldn't be so angry, after all Raven could make her own choices. But last night had been very stressful for all of them, and someone had taken advantage of her emotional state to sleep with her. Naruto had finally cleared his throat, and he barely had time to realize the danger he was in before Starfire answered. With friend Naruto, of course. Time seemed to stop for a moment at the declaration, before Cyborg yelled, Naruto, and charged him with his frying pan. Raven was almost like a sister, and his protective instincts easily overrode his friendship with the blonde. During his training trip, Naruto had learned that running just made the eventual beating worse. The best you could do was beg for mercy, even if you were innocent. Jiraiya had framed Naruto for his peeking multiple times. Thus, Naruto raised his arm to protect his face and closed his eyes, resigned to his fate. When several seconds passed with no pain, he looked up to find the pan barely an inch from his face encased with Raven's magic. Enough. But, the still furious Cyborg tried to argue. We did not have sex, Raven shouted, before lowering Cyborg to the ground. As he calmed down and Naruto wept tears of relief, she rubbed her temples. Can I have the painkillers now? But, if you did not have intercourse, why do you require it? Starfire tilted her head in confusion, but nonetheless handed it over. For my headache, she groaned as she poured herself a cup of tea. Star, Robin asked. Yes, Robin, why did you think they? He waved his hand in the air, not wanting to say the words. For once, Starfire understood exactly what he meant. Oh, because Raven slept in his room, she proclaimed, causing Raven to spit out her tea. As Cyborg rounded on Naruto again, he quickly defended himself. We didn't do anything, I swear. I was just having nightmares and she was helping me. And just how was she helping you? Kurama, who had just begun to calm down, roared with renewed laughter as he caught her innuendo. Once again, he was the only one that noticed. Given Cyborg's current state, Naruto didn't really want to tell him that he'd been snuggling with her all night. Luckily, he didn't have to. Apparently, a toad randomly popping into existence on the kitchen counter was enough to distract them. Yo Naruto, you so owe me, that old hag nearly killed me. As everyone watched in shock, with the exception Raven, Naruto apologized. Sorry about that Gamadon. Just give me some extra candy and we're good. Naruto paused. I'm actually out of candy. Can I just give you some next time? Gamadon deadpanned at him. Really, I risked my life for you, and you don't have any candy. Before he could yell some more, Starfire chose to speak. Greetings Gamadon, I am Starfire. Please, will this beverage be acceptable? She held out a bottle of maple syrup with a straw in it. I personally prefer the mustard, but the syrup is very sweet. While she didn't know who the strange creature was, it clearly knew Naruto and spoke his language. He hesitantly took the bottle and took a sip. His eyes widened in surprise. This is amazing, he said with stars in his eyes. While this was going on, The boys could only watch in confusion. Is it just me, or did that frog just talk? Cyborg asked. While they knew that Naruto had a way of communicating with his home, he hadn't told them the specific details. As such, they were completely unaware of his summons. No, it's talking all right. Robin replied. Raven considered explaining the situation to them but decided against it. Gamadon, did Tsunade send what I asked for? Yes, the toad said as he nursed his drink. Naruto waited a bit before asking, where is it? Oh, I don't have it. What, why not? Naruto shouted, a tick mark forming on his ear. Calm down, you'll get it, but Ma wanted to give it to you herself. Said something about making sure you're eating right. Naruto paled, she wants me to summon her. Right now. Yep, Gamadon said, remember to have that sake next time. I'm not risking my life without it. He added and vanishing in a puff of smoke. Naruto turned to the Titans. Okay, guys, if Ma offers you anything to eat, just say no. Before they could ask who Ma was, he bit his thumb and performed the technique. Kuchio's no jutsu. A resounding crack echoed through the room, though the source was obscured by the smoke. It cleared to reveal a cloaked toad standing over Naruto with a rolling pin. Why, he groaned, it's been a month and you still haven't summoned me. You talked to Pa, but all I get are letters. Cyborg stared at her, then at Beast Boy, then back again. Wait, he turned back to Beast Boy. You mean the frog that whacked me really wasn't you? He asked. It took a moment to remember what he was talking about. I told you, Beast Boy yelled. He then jumped back with a yelp when Cyborg was hit over the head with a clank. I'm a toad, not a frog. Shima yelled. You can understand him. Naruto asked in surprise, his injury somehow miraculously healed. No, but I always know when someone calls me a frog. She shook her rolling pin. Do I look like a frog to you? She demanded. No ma'am, he instantly denied. That's right, she said, before looking around. Now where is this Raven you talk so much about? She asked, looking around. She walked over to Raven, having recognized her from Naruto's description. You must be Raven, it's so nice to finally meet you. Naruto prepared to translate, only for Raven to surprise him. It is an honor, Sage Shima. Raven replied in Elemental. Oh please, call me Ma. Everyone does, Shima said. How? Naruto began to ask. After he'd learned English, he still always heard Raven talk in Elemental. But, when she spoke just then, her words felt slightly different, and by Ma's reaction, it was clear that she'd understood her. What, did you really think the spell only worked one way? Raven asked rhetorically. Hey, guess not, he said with a smile. It's so nice that Naruto-chan finally got a girlfriend. Ma said, hopefully, you'll be able to keep him in line. I try, Raven answered, laughing a little with the old sage as Naruto moped slightly. Girlfriend? Starfire asked in English. Both Naruto and Raven froze, having forgotten that she could understand them. Dudes, you're dating, Beast Boy shouted in realization. He gasped, that's why you slept in his room last night. You were cuddling, he accused, as if cuddling was a great crime. Oh, like you and Terra never cuddled. Raven quipped before smacking her hands over her mouth. Terra was a sensitive subject, especially for Beast Boy. Fortunately, Beast Boy didn't seem offended. Yeah, but we never slept together. Ma, totally lost, asked, what's the green one yelling about? When Naruto remained silent, rightly fearing her wrath, Starfire answered for him. Oh, he's just talking about how Naruto slept with Raven. Whack, Shima seemed to emit an aura of pure rage as she advanced towards Naruto, who was currently embedded in the wall. Boy, you slept with the girl after only one day. Nah, I will not let you become like Jiraiya-chan, even if I have to beat the pervert out of ya. No, wait please, it's not like that. His pleas were ignored, and this time, Raven was unable to save him. Sorry Naruto-chan. Ma apologized after Raven explained that they had not, in fact, had sex. It's all right Ma, Naruto replied from the couch, where he was recovering. The other Titans sat on the far side of the other couch, fearing the old toad's wrath. Still, maybe this will help you feel better, she said as she gave him a scroll. Naruto grinned. Thanks. Finally, he could get started. And, Lady Tsunade also sent something else. Ma held up a necklace, a green crystal hanging from it. I wanted to give it to you myself. He took it with a shaking hand, and everyone but Ma and Raven were shocked when they saw tears form in his eyes. Naruto, is that? Raven asked. It's the necklace Ba-chan gave me. I thought it was destroyed. Yes, I know that it was really destroyed, but I wanted to add it. Only the string. The crystal's too tough to break like that. Ma explained. After she learned you were alive, Tsunade started looking for it. It took a while, but she eventually succeeded. Kurama, Naruto asked, now that we're working together, it shouldn't bother me. Go ahead and put it on. His henge had dispelled with the beating, but he didn't really want to use it for this. But he didn't want to struggle with one hand either. He turned to Raven, can you help me put it on? She gave him a kind smile, of course. She took it from his hand and gently placed it around his neck. It looks good on you, she observed. Naruto was currently sitting completely still in a clearing in the uninhabited areas outside of town, where he'd gone to practice the fuinjutsu he'd gotten from Ma. In front and to his sides was a deeply shadowed forest, while a large cliff stood behind him, blocking the view of Jump City. He could have practiced in the tower, but there wasn't enough room for him to spam clones. Besides, he didn't want to blow the tower up when he inevitably made a mistake. He hadn't started yet, as he had another reason for being there. He's not going to show up, Kurama said. Of course he is. How do you know that? Simple, I'm a threat. I've interfered with his plans multiple times and I was able to hurt him. He knows he can't risk fighting me with Raven there, so he'll take the first opportunity he can to take me on alone. That was surprisingly well thought out. But how will he even know where you are? There's no way. Kurama suddenly stopped talking. You were saying, Naruto thought smugly, having sensed the same thing the fox had. Shut up, brat. Hello, Naruto, Slade said as he emerged from the dark edges of the forest. Finally, I've been waiting here for 20 minutes, Naruto complained. This actually caught Slade off guard, though he didn't show it. Sorry, I guess I just got lost on the road of life. Naruto just stared at him in disbelief before bursting into laughter. This is the guy Trigon considers a threat, Slade thought in a deadpan as he watched Naruto literally rolling on the ground laughing. Though annoying, his hysteria provided an excellent opportunity. Slade launched a fireball and watched as it engulfed the blonde. Despite his apparent success, his instincts, finely honed from a lifetime of combat, were telling him to remain alert. Only by listening to them was he able to lift an arm to block the incoming kick. Still, the force was enough to send him skidding into the clearing, stopping just shy of the smoldering log where the boy had been. It had also broke his arm, though it quickly mended itself. Is that it? My friend sneezed hotter ones when he was 12. Naruto taunted from where he'd punted Slade. Without Beast Boy here to worry about, Naruto was able to take full advantage of his Sage mode. He, along with 3 hidden clones scattered throughout the forest, had been gathering natural energy while they waited for Slade to arrive. It had been through his enhanced senses that he'd been able to sense the blast and pull a quick Kawarimi. Usually he wouldn't use it so early, but he wasn't taking any chances with Raven's life on the line. Don't worry, I'm just getting started, Slade replied as he shot several blasts in rapid succession. Whoa, Naruto exclaimed, barely able to dodge by contorting his body around the beams. Slade saw this and aimed a blast near his feet to trip him up. Rather than get caught in the blast, Naruto jumped backwards and planted his feet on a nearby tree. Using his enhanced strength, he leapt into the air with enough force to topple the pine.
As he passed overhead, Naruto quickly made a clone which quickly spiraled chakra in its hand. Naruto grabbed the clone's free arm and hurled it towards Slade. Rasengan. The clone yelled as it rocketed towards him. He jumped away before a resounding boom rocked the forest. Slade's eye widened in surprise at the utter devastation the combo had wrought. Most impressive, he commented. The crater was at least 10 feet in diameter. Still didn't get you though, Naruto noted as he flung several kunai, still mid-air, and went through several hand seals he'd asked Tsunade for. Kunai Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, causing the 5 he'd thrown to multiply into 50. Very true, Slade said, while there were numerous very few were actually close to hitting him. Those, he knocked to the ground. He was about to rush forward but paused as he heard a hissing sound. Slade looked down and noticed that all the knives had a slip of paper wrapped around the handles, before they all exploded. You know you can't kill him, right? Of course, he feels just like an Edo Tensei. Then why didn't you wait until you're able to seal him before you picked a fight? He's just a pawn. Trigon would just find someone else. The dense smoke from the explosion started swirling around, before it began glowing. It grew brighter and brighter as flames began to appear. Soon, it had become an inferno centered around an unharmed Slade. Did you really think that could kill me? Slade asked as he walked out from the flames. Of course not. You're already dead. His words caused Slade to momentarily halt his advance. That's why you're working for Trigon, right? He promised to bring you back to life. You're a surprisingly accurate deduction. Tell me, do you simply act the fool to confuse your enemies?
I wish. Hey, nah. Naruto responded out loud. That was more Obito's thing. I'm as straightforward as you can get. I see. You know Trigon's going to betray you, right? Naruto said, switching gears. Perhaps, but I have a plan for that. Even if you do come back, what then? There won't be a world left for you.
Slade pondered his words before chuckling. Are you actually trying to persuade me to switch sides? I've done it before. Really? Slade said in clear disbelief. Behind Naruto, a flaming tendril emerged from the ground. In that case, I'm going to have to decline. The flaming protrusion rushed to ensnare Naruto, but he sensed it and jumped out of the way. Raven might be able to help you, ya know, he continued as if nothing had happened. She might be able to free you and bring you back.
And you would just let me go? Of course, he chuckled again. I was wrong. You're not a fool, you're simply naive, and in this world, that's almost as bad. Slade charged him, done talking. Naruto sighed. I'm not as naive as you might think. He dispelled one of his meditating clones before creating 3 new clones around him. One went to engage Slade as the other 2 channeled chakra above his outstretched hand. I've experienced more than you know. See, Naruto said as he ducked under a punch. I've been through war. I've lost friends. He launched a punch at Slade's face. He moved his head to avoid it, but it still somehow made contact. I've known loneliness. I've known hate. Slade heard as he flew backward. He got to his feet and heard a ringing that was far too loud to be from the impact. Looking for the source, he saw the original Naruto holding a small 4-bladed sphere of energy. But I will never allow it to change who I am. I am Naruto Uzumaki, and I never give up. I will defeat Trigon, and I will save Raven. In a slightly quieter voice that could still be heard above the ringing, he added, and I might be able to save you too. With that, he threw the Rasenshuriken. Slade, too slow to dodge, took the attack full force. While Naruto had made the jutsu smaller than usual to avoid notice and cause a panic, he was still fully enveloped by a sphere of uncountable microscopic blades. After the attack died down, Naruto walked to the steaming body, knowing that he was still alive, and knelt down. Think about it. You don't want this any more than we do. Slade only stared at him before sinking into the ground. Over 3/4 of the clones followed 512's example after receiving its memories. The real Naruto, who had actually begun making some progress on a basic storage scroll, grabbed his head in pain and pitched forward. Idiots, he thought as unconsciousness claimed him and the rest of the clones popped out of existence. Raven withheld a smug grin. Cyborg had played a good game, but it was time to end this. As she moved her queen across the board, she suddenly winced in pain, releasing her piece prematurely. Aha! Cyborg, who had failed to notice her distraction, moved his rook to take advantage of the opening Raven left him. Checkmate, I finally win, he yelled in triumph and jumped to his feet. Go Cyborg, it's your birthday. Go Cyborg, go Cyborg. While he performed some strange victory dance, Raven closed her eyes. She had easily recognized that her brief stab of pain was not hers and decided to investigate. Raven searched her mind, hoping to find some remnant that she could trace. Instead, she was shocked to find herself inside her mindscape. It shouldn't be possible. Even without Trigon's interference, it usually took several minutes of very deliberate meditation to come here without her mirror. And on top of all of that, she didn't recognize this area. Before her stood 2 lush trees, about 8 feet apart. They curved towards each other before meeting as though in an embrace. They twisted around each other and grew as one, sprouting lush greenery and blooming flowers. The only indication that they were still separate were the differences in the flowers. One had striking blue petals with a beautiful sunset orange center, while sported the same colors, but reversed. She walked forward and placed a hand on a trunk. It felt warm, humming with life. When she strode beneath the arch created by their joining to view it from the other side, the scenery around her changed. The trees were still there, but her mindscape was gone. The sky looked natural instead of her ominous dark. The rocky ground had been replaced with lush fields, which sported several trees that dwarfed the 2 she walked through. Despite their size, they seemed insignificant when compared to the beauty of the gate. That's what it was, Raven realized. They formed a gate between my mind and welcome, lunch. A booming voice rang out through the field, before a giant mass of orange landed before her, teeth bared.
Raven wasn't impressed. Really, Kurama? She asked in a deadpan.
Bah, you're no fun. Kurama complained as he pulled back. Normally, the sight of a giant demon fox baring its teeth as it threatened to eat you would be a terrifying sight, but Raven actually liked him. Naruto occasionally let Kurama take over so they could talk. At first, they'd mainly stuck to discussing Trigon, but it had since evolved into a sort of friendship. All three of them, Raven, Naruto, and Kurama, had been feared for matters beyond their control. They had been feared and isolated, and in some cases, hated. Kurama, though, had experienced far more than either of them, and Raven was astounded that he'd managed to overcome his hate. When she had heard his story, she'd cried, and her opinion of both of them had risen greatly. So, sure, this was her first time seeing him in the flesh, but she'd recognize his voice anywhere. "It's nice to finally see you, Kurama," she said with a smile. Likewise, he stretched like a cat before laying down. "What is that?" she asked, pointing to the tree gate. "How'd I get here?" "Let's wait until Naruto wakes up. I don't want to have to explain twice," he said lazily.
Wakes up? Kurama nodded his large head and brought one of his tails around, depositing Naruto between them. "Yeah. Before you freak out, he's fine. Or, he will be." The idiot suffered some brain damage from dispelling so many clones at once. Raven stiffened. Brain damage? She hurried over to Naruto and kneeled beside him. Placing her palms on either side of his face, she tried to heal, momentarily forgetting that this not being his real body.
"Relax, I told you he'll be fine. He should be up in a few minutes."
Raven sighed as lowered her hands. How many did he make? "About 1,000. She groaned. "Idiot. Ha, I knew there was a reason I liked you." Naruto woke to Raven's laughter with a smile. He may feel like crap, but hearing that beautiful noise more than made up for it. However, her next words made his blood run cold.
He actually kissed Sasuke. Twice. I swear to Kami it's true. And let me tell you, that second one, there was tongue.
This sent them both into another fit of laughter as Naruto leapt to his feet. Ignoring his pounding head, he shouted, "Traitor! You said you'd never tell her that."
Kurama sported a shit-eating grin. "Technically, I said I wouldn't tell her while using your body." He gave his body an exaggerated once-over. "Well, would you look at that? This isn't your body."
"Oh, you're gonna pay for that fuzzball," he yelled, then blinked at Raven in confusion. Not that I don't love seeing you, but how are you here?"
"Somehow, that connects our mindscapes," she said, pointing to the tree gate. Kurama was going to explain, but someone overdid it with their clones. She gave him a stern look. "For now on, don't train with more than 100.
But he tried to argue. 100, she said, punctuating each word. "I like your mind too much for you to break it."
"Okay," he said in defeat. Cough, whipped. Cough, Naruto glared at him, not amused by his poorly concealed jibe. "Anyway, now that you're awake, I'll explain. From what I understand, that is the original link you two formed when you first met. The one that let you understand each other."
"I thought you said it wasn't strong enough to do anything like this?" Raven asked in confusion. After spending a month with him, she was confident that nothing short of her anger getting loose would be a real threat to Naruto. Even then, she had her doubts that anger would even want to hurt him. "It wasn't. Back then, it barely even let you talk to each other. If it had been left alone, it would have disappeared entirely. But for some reason, the closer you two got, the stronger the link became. Eventually, two saplings sprouted and grew towards each other, though they only met when you got together." "You know, that's kind of romantic," Naruto commented to Raven. "And the flowers bloomed when you slept together. Now, I was sleeping, but I can only assume they appeared because you took her flower." Kurama finished with a straight face. "That's not what happened and you know it, you perverted fox," Naruto yelled indignantly. Raven only blushed, slightly desensitized from that morning.
"Do I? I guess we'll never know." Oh, he was enjoying himself. Kurama made a mental note to thank Starfire if he ever got the chance. Though in all seriousness, this shouldn't have happened.
"What do you mean?" Raven asked. "Linking two mindscapes together like this is next to impossible. This isn't some simple mind-reading technique. It's a literal bridge between your minds beyond the confines of space-time."
"Us Biju have our shared plane, but that's only because we were originally one entity. To develop your small bond into something like this should have taken years, if not decades, of deliberate manipulation. And yet you two did it in a month. On accident." As they stared at him in open shock, he grinned. "Congratulations, Naruto. Even here, you're still the #1 most unpredictable shinobi." "Hey Raven, Ravine, are you home?" Beast Boy flitted around, poking her at different angles. Raven, she didn't even flinch when he shouted in her ear. He'd been looking for Naruto so they could practice with Naruto's Sage Mode, so naturally he'd gone to Raven. Unfortunately, she seemed dead to the world. Suddenly, he got an idea. A dangerous idea, An idea so horribly risky that you'd have to be clinically insane to even attempt it. So naturally, Beast Boy rushed to get supplies. They sat together by the gate, holding hands in a comfortable silence. It was nice. After everything that had happened over the past few days, it felt good to just relax with Naruto. They were still in his mindscape, though Kurama had wandered off a while ago. She smiled fondly at Naruto. They'd only been together for 2 days, but it felt like a lifetime.
Hey Raven. Naruto suddenly asked. Yes? Can we visit your mindscape? You don't have to let me if you don't want to, but I'd like to see it. This threw Raven for a loop. I told you what it's like. It isn't very pleasant. It isn't beautiful like this place. Naruto frowned and locked her in place with an intense gaze. Raven, everything about you is beautiful, flaws and all. Your mind is beautiful. It's not sinister or creepy or anything else. It's a part of you, a part that I'd love to see if you'll let me.
Raven felt her heart pounding. If it had been anyone else, she would have believed that they were just words or flattery, an exaggeration to get what they wanted. But this wasn't anyone else, this was Naruto. He always meant what he said, and he would never manipulate someone. It was one of the things she loved most about him, how completely honest he was. Despite how close they'd gotten, there was still some small part of her that believed that this couldn't be real, that one day Naruto would realize that he'd made a mistake and leave her. Her anxieties had only been exasperated by the horrible thought that maybe their feelings weren't real, that they were some sort of side effect from the gate. Thankfully, Kurama had quickly dispelled that notion, saying that it was the other way around. Yet the anxiety still lingered.
But here he was, declaring his total acceptance of her. As she stared into Naruto's intense gaze, she felt the last of her worries slip away. Okay. Beast Boy. What is wrong with you? Cyborg asked in a fierce whisper. He'd come to Ops to get a midday snack only to hear maniacal laughter. And what was the source of this laughter? Why, only a suicidal shapeshifter writing on Raven's face. Oh, did he forget to mention that he'd somehow wrangled her into a frilly pink tutu over her cloak?
Relax, Beast Boy said confidently. She's totally out of it. Look, he grabbed her and, to Cyborg's horror, stuck one of her fingers up her nose. See, he pulled out his phone and took a selfie with her, before removing her finger. See. She is going to kill you, BB. Literally kill you, only if she knows about this. He argued smugly. Oh really, and how are you gonna manage that? Cyborg asked skeptically. All I have to do is take off the tutu and wash off the ink before she wakes up. Boom, no evidence.
Beast Boy, Cyborg said slowly. Take a good look at that marker.
Why, it's just an expo marker. It's not like I used. He trailed off as he read the label. Ever so slowly, his smug grin turned to an expression of horror. Wow, Naruto exclaimed as he looked around. This is amazing. From Raven's description, he had been expecting a desolate wasteland, but to Naruto, it was strangely beautiful. The night sky was littered with blazing stars, and what looked to be several solar eclipses. None were super bright on their own, but together they cast the rocky landscape into a beautiful silver light. Several rock formations floated above them, almost protectively. You really think so? She asked uncertainly, her face reddening in a cute blush. I do. He raised his hand to caress her cheek. Why? She asked. Raven gazed into his eyes, not wanting to miss a single word. This place, it doesn't try. It doesn't need to. My mind took a lot of work to get it the way it is now, and even then, with all the color and vegetation, it feels artificial. Here, it feels right. It has the same grace, the same natural beauty you do.
In response, Raven forward and claimed his lips. The kiss was gentle, but it conveyed all her love and gratitude in a way she never could with words.
After a moment, she pulled back for breath. I love you, they said at the same time, causing them both to chuckle.
You know, that was only our second kiss, Naruto observed. Really, it felt like more than that. Yeah, should we do something about that? The look he gave her sent shivers down her spine. Please. However, before they could do anything, a sudden shout interrupted them. Naruto. Wah. A pink blur tackled him to the ground. I'm so glad you're here. Oh, this is the best day of my life. Raven growled at the figure straddling her boyfriend. What do you think you're doing? Her pink counterpart giggled. I'm sorry, but I just couldn't stop myself. I'm guessing you're happy. Naruto managed from under her weight. Seriously, she weighed more than the real Raven. He didn't even know emotions had weight.
Yep, she popped her. P. Maybe you should remove yourself from his body, seeing as you are currently depriving him of oxygen. A new voice suggested. Oops, sorry. Happy apologized as she got up. This allowed Naruto to see 7 more ravens, each wearing a different cloak. Thank you, knowledge, he thanked the bespectacled girl. That is correct, and you are very welcome. Raven had described each of her emotions to him. Knowledge wore yellow, rude wore orange, bravery green, rudeness orange, sloth brown, anger red, timid gray, and passion. Yes, the purple-cloaked emotion purred as she sauntered over to Naruto. Now I can have my turn, she said as she trailed a finger down his arm, causing him to shiver. She leaned over and whispered in his ear. We're going to have so much fun. Get off him, anger yelled as she yanked passion away. Stop acting like a slut. Naruto went wide-eyed, having never expected to hear Raven's voice say that. And you, she pointed angrily at Naruto. Stop, she seemed to struggle for a second. Being so handsome, it makes it hard to be mad at you. She stomped away, dragging the protesting passion with her. I never thought I'd be thankful for anger. Raven muttered. You're telling me, I thought she was going to rape me. Naruto shouted. You don't think I'm attractive? This came from Timid, who stared at him with teary eyes. Even though she was only an emotion, Naruto could never stand to see any part of Raven cry. Of course I do, he said as he rushed over and enveloped her in a hug. You're the most beautiful girl, emotion I know. Raven, even though he wasn't technically talking to her, smiled.
So what's the hold up? Boor RRP, rudeness let out. With those clones of yours, we could have a pretty good time. That could be dangerous. Knowledge commented as Naruto, Raven, and Timid sported full-body blushes.
Bring it on. Danger is my middle name. Bravery challenged. Yes, and we can join in. Passion added as she rejoined them, somehow having escaped anger. Absolutely not, said Emotion screeched. As they debated the merits of clone sex, Raven snapped out of her funk. We're leaving, Raven said. She grabbed Naruto and, leaving Timid, walked back through the gate. The Bahamas have such beautiful beaches, but Niagara Falls are so romantic. Or how about Venice, or maybe Italy, or Fiji, or Rome, or shut up Harley, or Paris, or Poison Ivy sighed as Harley Quinn continued fantasizing about vacationing with her precious, Mr. J. Usually, Ivy could just tune her out, but she was on edge. For the past month, the Green had been crying out to her, begging her to find someone. It was driving her crazy, but she couldn't, because she was stuck in this damned cell. And Harley was still talking.
Hello Pamela. She turned to face the voice. Isn't this a surprise? I heard you were dead. Slade emerged from the shadows outside her cell, and yet here I am. She snorted. And to just what do I owe the pleasure for your visit? I have a problem, you could say. See, there's this boy that's interfering with my plans, and you're the perfect person to ask for help.
She leaned forward, interested. And why me? We both know you rarely call for help. And even then, you've never come to me.
It's the boy, Naruto. From my understanding, he seems to have quite the connection to nature. At the name, the Green's call increased drastically, causing her to flinch slightly. This did not go unnoticed by Slade. I assume you're interested? What do you want me to do to him? She asked, still weary. I don't care, as long as he's gone. Alarms began blaring in the background. It seems we've run out of time. So tell me, are you in? The end. Thanks for watching. Also remember to subscribe and like this video. See you in the next video.